David. There's some differences in the way they play the game. You've got a very unorthodox team in Ipswich, and you've got, I guess you'd say, the Tigers sticking to a much more orthodox pattern.
Absolutely, Warren. The Tigers play pretty much what the style that a lot of other sides play, but boy, I'm really interested. The first time I'm going to commentate an Ipswich Jets game. I've seen them play quite a bit in recent years. They have, you mentioned unorthodox, I'd call it radical. It is very, very different to what the other sides play, and right up to the NRL as well. But it is not helter-skelter. It is not a free-for-all. They can't do whatever they like. They are very structured, and I'll be very interested to, well, let's say, explain and talk about what they do as this game unfolds. But pretty much, they like to go across field after they've done a couple of forward rucks. The forward rucks are only done solely by a couple of front rowers and the lock forward, and then they go across field and pick up guys either coming inside or dummy to them. So it's an extremely interesting way they play it. I've had a look at the number of missed tackles and what they call ineffective tackles. And on Ipswich, at least in last weekend's game compared with the Tigers game, which was against the Cutters, there was twice as many missed tackles against Ipswich than any of the other three sides that were involved in those two games. So it's all designed to try and put off the defensive side. They don't take big hits, interestingly enough. But the other interesting thing was, and contrary to what I thought I'd see, is their forwards make most of their meters gained. It's not their outside backs, and they picked a side. It'll be really interesting to see how they play again. Their backs are really zip men. You can't play this style of play, which is a certain amount of go forward and then throw it around, unless you've got the players to do it. So they've got some very good outside backs. It's a very interesting pattern of play, and I'm looking forward to just see how they go about it today. Would not be easy to play every now and then against this structure.
No, I think that's right, and I think that's the trouble opposition teams have had adjusting it. They're just not used to what's coming at them. I mean, Ipswich throw in the short kickoffs, the short dropouts. There's a whole lot of different things happening there. Gavin, it must be interesting for you, we mentioned last week you've been coaching in the junior ranks for the Tigers, but I imagine coaches right across the Intrust Super Cup, right across Queensland, right across the NRL have been talking about what the Walker boys are putting out there for the last couple of years, because it's not new, it's been around for a couple of years now.
Yeah, look, it has, Warren, you're right. They're a very interesting side to play against, as you both mentioned. I was at the season launch a couple of weeks ago for the Ipswich Jets, and my company I work for is a co-sponsor for the Jets, indeed. And it was interesting to hear there that they've really gone for speed, David, as you said. They've got they're very, very excited about the pace. They've got Marmon Barber back, young Conlon as well on the wing, I think, today. So they're very confident. If there's only a small
Purcell at fullback.
Purcell at fullback as well, yeah. So if there's a small split or a small gap or someone's a bit lazy in that defensive line, they're very confident they'll crack them. Open them up, and then it'll be shut the gate there, and tries will flow.
Well, interesting too that both teams coming into this match haven't had to make really any significant changes to the lineups. The starting 13s, I think, are pretty much the same as last week. There was some doubt for the Tigers as to whether or not Grenke would be okay, but Brett Grenke seems to have overcome that cork injury from last week. Jack Svensson wasn't named in the original starting lineup, but he's going to be at lock forward. Billy Walters and young Tonamapaya are back again this week from the Melbourne Storm to take their place in the back line. And David, talking about the Tigers for a moment, as I said, they do play a much more orthodox brand of football, but for me, the two guys who inject the creativity are first Billy Walters very much, and as we saw last week, Scott Drinkwater, who's new to the team.
They've got some very creative players, Warren, and they're the key two players. First time I'd seen Scott Drinkwater, he was sensational from the back, and as I say, whereas the Ipswich guys, amazingly, their backs didn't make a lot of territory. Scott Drinkwater was by far and away, I think he was over a couple of hundred metres he ran. He brought the ball back beautifully. He's obviously in the Storm system, as we know. He's a terrific ex-Australian schoolboy. He's also not just a running fullback, as we know these days. You've got to be a passing fullback if you're going to play that loop role and then select either a runner or go yourself. So he's the real deal. He's got the package for a modern day fullback. Billy Walters is a cool guy. He's a very good kick game as well, Walters. So he fits the mould. So you're going to see some very attractive footy from East Tigers today.
And here is the lineup. So fullback is Scott Drinkwater. One wing is Link Port. The other is Jared McAnally, Connor Carey and Young Tonna Mapea in the setters. Billy Walters, 5'8", Braden Torpey halfback. Front rower, David Tyrrell with Chris Ostwald hooker. Patrick Kafusi is the other front rower, another Melbourne Storm East Tigers player. Jake Foster, Brett Renkins, Jack Svensson are the back rowers. And then on the bench we've got James Salter, Anton Iaria, Jared Toot and Ash Little. And really the main change there is that Ash Little and James Salter come into the lineup on the bench. One thing we'll have a look at, we'll get to the Ipswich in a moment. What I was wondering, Gavin, from you is what do you think the Tigers will have learned from last week and be trying to put into action differently this week?
Oh, look, Warren, I think they really need to, it'll be a different game for them today completely. I think they just need to control the footy and just try and roll through that middle as they do. It's a common fact that, if you control the middle of the ruck, then you control the game, and that's where Walters and Drinkwater will come into it. So I don't think they'll do anything too much differently. Indeed, it's hard to change the way that you play the game or the style of your game from week to week because generally the opposition is pretty much playing the same game as you are. That's not the case today though with the Ipswich Jets, so it'll be very interesting. It's the Jets' way of playing is we just hold the footy, we look for a gap, and then we try and slide through it. So everybody on their toes this afternoon for these Tigers in defence.
There's the Ipswich Jets side, and they're different in a lot of ways. They've got two coaches, and they're brothers, so this is totally different. They work very well together, it would appear, and they've got always a good situation going up there at the Jets. They won the grand final a few years ago. Here it is now. Michael Purcell at fullback had a very good match last week, chimes in nicely, fits their play. As we said, Marmon Barber back after a year out of the Intrust Super. Pio Sethi in the centres was very strong, although only played about 40-odd minutes. Rory Humphreys will play in the centres. I think he'll wear 17, and then Codlin on the other wing had a very good game as well. Julian Christian and Dane Phillips are good halves. They fit that style. Christian in particular very creative. Tyson Lafipo, great work rate last week. Kieran Mosley did well out of the dummy half role, and he may well wear 21 to start the game. And then Neil, the skipper, Ben White, Seb Penn had a terrific game also last week. Ben Shea, very experienced, played a lot of games for Wynnum Manly. And then on the interchange bench, the number 14 actually is Kazlik, and then we've got Hafoa, I should say, Whitterfield, and a very strong outfit it is, along with Jaden Connors, who will wear number 9 and come off the bench. So a good outfit the Jets will put on, but it's how they play the game, and we'll be very interested to see how two differing styles confront one another today.
Well, 4X rivalry round, and of course there's been plenty of promotion of the, I guess, the differences of opinion between Ipswich and East over the years, and quite a few players have moved between the two clubs. The local newspaper, the Queensland Times, said the Tigers are the brother with the flash car and the fancy girl, while the Jets are getting around in their old ute and laying concrete.
Is this the Fibros and the Silver Tongues?
It does sound like it, doesn't it? So we're underway. It's a short kickoff, and this was going to bounce high, and it does, and the Tigers come down with it. So there's the first of those unorthodox measures that you'll see in action today from the Ipswich Jets. Of course, you still have to win the game at the end of it. Whether you're unorthodox, you've got to come up with the points.
And on that kick, whilst it's rather unique for this era, that was fairly common, as I recall, back 20 years ago. That little kick along that would jump up.
I'd say the downside is the Tigers have got the ball, and on the second tackle, they're only 30 metres out. Right in centre field, perfect attacking position. Ostwald to the left. Torpey's got it in his hands. Looks for Drinkwater out the back, and Drinkwater can't cut his way through, and they bury him and knock him back a couple of yards. Still the Tigers on the fifth tackle. And it's Torpey. Seemed to be surprised to get that pass late. And it's a pretty good bomb, though. And look at Port coming through. He challenges for it, and it's taken by Ipswich. They've got it, but can they get back out? I don't think so. No. And that's Marmon Barber, who's been trapped there in goal. But nevertheless, he came down with a bomb under some challenge.
Good crossfield kick. What the advantage that East get out of the short kickoff is their last kick of play here on the end of the 6 is an attacking bomb-style kick, putting pressure on the defence. So they've got the upper hand at the moment, the Tigers. Barber, well, he was pretty much no chance to ever get out of there. So
short drop out. Who's got to take it for the Tigers? It's young Tonamapaya. He was onto it quickly. Awake to the tactics. Smart play and good hands. Only 15 out, the Tigers now. And look at them coming forward. Dave Tyrrell, he had with him Grenke as well. There were two of them were looming up. Austral had a choice. He's only 5 metres out now as he'll play it back, Dave Tyrrell. Big front rower, ex-South Sydney. Billy Walters back inside. Here's Grenke trying to shovel his way through. Played well in the first half last week, but then copped that cork and had to limp off. Austral comes to the right to Walters. It went deep and they lost their rhythm there. Walters has taken a misunderstanding. I think it might have been intended for Drinkwater up front. Drinkwater goes to the short side and burrowing ahead is Kafusi. Kafusi not far away, but the Jets holding on grimly here. Fifth tackle, and now Billy Walters straightens up, gets it to Austral, who came from behind him. He wasn't a dummy half, but they've managed to knock him down, and that's the last tackle, handover. All
I can say is I, at this stage, admire what the Ipswich Jets do. They back themselves. Both times aggressive kicks, the kick-off short 10 metres, the drop-out 10 metres. They've managed to withstand 2 sets of 6 by the Tigers, and their line is still intact. So there's a long way to go.
And just looking at those short kicks, it's an attacking mentality, not defensive, isn't it?
And that's the Walker boys, isn't it? They've played this style for many, many years, and that's what they're doing. They've obviously got good defensive structures. They have to have, because they're often under pressure if those short kicks don't come their way.
Okay, the front rowers have a licence to take it forward, but then they start to play it wide. They run across, they turn it under. That, I think, is Pandia. What a good game he had last week as well. Again, didn't play 80 minutes, but it was a powerhouse performance. Kieran Mosley in a dummy half. Again, crossfield, turn one back in. So they still go forward, but it's normally off that crossfield runner, angle back in. And what that does is the defence can't line up the obvious ball runner. They have to wait until the pass is incurred. High kick won't put a lot of pressure. It does put a bit of pressure on because they regain the kick, keeping it alive. They probably had to, because otherwise they would have surrendered possession anyway. So they elected the high ball. Another attack kick from midfield. Other sides had put it deep.
And only, I think, third or fourth tackle, midfield bomb. It wasn't a great kick, but the tactic was, again, very novel.
Well, I don't agree with that one on that basis. Well, that's a shock tactic, but let's say they're trying to shock the living daylights out of the Tigers, and you can't assume anything. Let's see what the Tigers can do. They've got to play their brand of footy. They do like to bring their wingers in to run the ball up. You won't see Ipswich do that all day. Port's the first man who comes up there. They come down a blind side to Walters. Walters throws the dummy. They're going to open up in the midfield there. Up to Ostwald. He can't get any further than just over the 30-metre line. The Tigers, you've got to play your own game. Play to your strengths. Drinkwater caught up at the dummy half position. Out there to Torpy. Torpy puts the high kick in. Is it going to be too far? No, it's going to be a good kick. Nicely taken there by, is it Purcell at the back? And he'll again run crossfield. Bamboozle the bench, turns it back on the inside beautifully. Oh no, he's dropped it. I think that was Sethi, was it?
Oh, and Barber's hurt his leg here. He's grabbing for the ankle. Oh, this is disastrous early for the Jets. It was a lovely piece of football. Again, that attacking attitude with Purcell skirting wide, gave the pass even though it was on the zero tackle to Barber. Looked like he'd broken away, but as he was dragged down, I think he's injured a calf or Achilles here.
Yeah, he had an injury that put him out of the game
last year.
Super Cup.
Yeah.
I think he played
2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, and he played a bit of footy last year back at home. Here's the high kick taken here nicely by Purcell. This is what they do. The defence holds, so he was happy to go across. Then hit the accelerator, turns it back, so it all worked beautifully. I think that is it Sethi? I'm not 100% sure. And then the ball goes loose, and then Barber grasps. I hope it's... No, Gav, what was his injury there a couple of years ago? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it was a lower leg injury, Dave. Not exactly sure.
Well, he seems to be okay. Now. He's up and playing okay. He's on the wing. He's okay. But the Tigers get the offload away, and Ostwald, who's been very busy already, not always a dummy half, but he's being the extra man on a number of plays. So Svensson goes to dummy half, looks to the right. Walters calls for it. He's got Carey there, goes himself out the back to Carey. Carey crossfield, and Pandya wraps his ankles up.
Obstruction. He's got him for running behind one of his own players, I think.
Well, yeah, he certainly was, but they had no difficulty tackling him. But once you go around behind one of your players, you're putting yourself in that precarious position. So Phillips, a former East Tiger player, finds touch.
Could not play this brand of footy. quite gay abandon, but it appears that there's a lot more to it than that, without having supreme confidence in your own defence, because you're going to put yourself under pressure from time to time, particularly a goal line defence. You're going to say, we are going to back ourselves to keep them out here, so that'll be interesting. Another penalty going to the Jets. Let's have a look. We'll go back to the original penalty, which was the obstruction. Billy Walters pops the pass back on the inside to Kerry. He's a strong runner, Kerry, and he does go behind his... Yeah, I reckon that was an obstruction on...
Yeah, he should have given himself up. Purcell just couldn't quite continue the chase.
This time now, again, the Jets turning it back on the inside. This is the way they like to play their footy. The defence holds. There's one thing I wouldn't do against this attacks pattern is I wouldn't run up and hold. I'd keep going up and pressure them because they want you to hold. Just as East did then again, they hold. They don't allow defence to rush up because they've got options on their attack plays with angles. So they're going to work down the middle this time. The only fellas that can run at the line are the number 13, the 8 and the 9. And I'm working this assumption on one mere game I watched last week when they played against the Blackhawks. You can't assess it on one game and come up with a pattern. But here they go again, turning it back on the inside. This again is the big fella in Sethi. He had a good game last week. I think he scored one of their tries as well. He is a good, strong runner. Picked up the most metres of a back. This time the pass up there to Phillips. Not a good ball by Phillips. Oh, beautifully hands. Picked up there by, is it Walters? Walters races away. Does well to get up to 30. Good quick play. The ball's needed. That's exactly what they've got. Port takes them on again. Fires it back. That's good play if you can send in that tackle and offload. The Tigers did this very well last week. They do like to search up there and then pop the ball if they can. Getting almost up to the halfway line. Well, we haven't had a point scored yet, but I tell you what, we've had plenty of action. This time, Grinke charges at the line. Total opposite of what you'll see the Jets do. Oswald goes to dummy half. He's got big Dave Tyrrell. He'll go at the line again. They are half punching holes in the Ipswich Jets defence. They're rolling them back. Out of dummy half goes Oswald. Good run by Oswald. Gets them up to the 10-metre line. Oh, bad pass. But Svensson, he's lost it, he said. He's lost it, so he hasn't played it correctly. The ball's gone between his legs in the urgency to try and play it quickly. Yeah, well, it looked as if it had just gone through the dummy half's hands, but we just a little bit late there. But whether or not he had actually lost it rather than correctly heeling it back, but the referees pulled them up. Well, he hasn't penalised them for a bad play, the ball. He's just pulled it up. Yeah, lost ball, I'd say, he said. So a let-off for the Jets because there was some real thrust in that work from the Tigers, and particularly Oswald been very impressive. Yeah, he comes through the juniors, or not through the juniors, but he comes through the 20s comp here about 3 or 4 years ago, Oswald. Always been a sharp runner. Played Australian universities as well a couple of seasons ago. Interestingly, just a slight switch for the Tigers. They got Grinke, looks like, playing middle, and Svensson playing out here on the right edge. And of course, one of the best-known hookers for the Tigers is Tommy Butterfield, and he's out of action at the moment, but expected to be back after, I think it's a shoulder operation, some surgery, back in available in a few weeks' time. Gav, that change, do you think it might have something to do with the fact that that Grinke's got a cork and is better and safer in the middle? Yeah, it might be a little bit of a mobility thing, Dave. I think, you know, obviously in the middle they're generally coming more straight at you, whereas out on the edge, with the way Ipswich plays especially, you're going sideways a fair bit. You sure are, as they toy with the defence again. Yeah, Tyson Lafipa gets the offload away, and Christian it is who also passes. So here we go, side to side, players going back across and straightening it up now with Pio Sethi, the centre. He tries to find a hole, so they'll move it from one side to the other and then just try and find a hole and shoot one of those smaller men stepping his way through. Phillips decides to kick. Again, it's not the last tackle, but he's found wide open spaces. Drinkwater has a chase, and have they got the chasers down there? Well, a bad pass from Drinkwater, bad pass to McAnally, so it's knocked on. And I tell you what, the pass was on, though, because the decision by Phillips to kick was a decision the rest of the team didn't necessarily know about, and there were no chasers down that right wing. You watch, there's not a green jersey inside out wide. Yeah, this is what they do, the unexpected. And why did they end up forward passing here? There didn't seem to be a lot of pressure. There was a little bit of pressure on the passer, but... you see, the only guy chasing across was the front rower, Neil. Yeah. There was no winger down there. Yeah, well, look, it appears as though they just get a bit of a licence to do what they see, a bit like a game of touch football where, you know, if you think it's on somewhere, you have a crack at it, which is the way the game should be played, I might add.
Well, it's certainly an entertaining way to play it. There's no doubt about that.
The fundamental question, of course, they won a grand final doing this, and then they won the club championship too, didn't they? They beat the side in Sydney at the grand final. I think it was the curtain over the Broncos-Cowboys game. So this works, and it works at the very top level. Top level, as in sorry, Warren, in the. As we see Ipswich go on the attack.
Yeah, Purcell it is going across field, back inside to Barber. Barber running freely, searching for that hole and still going. Pandya straightens it up. He dances away as well. And finally he's going to be taken. They're very flat, standing flat, but they all know their role. I don't know what training looks like with the Ipswich Jets.
Touch footy.
Here they go on the short side, and I think it was Conlon turning it back inside. And now across field, Phillips is Neil going up the middle, the big man with the bald head. He slipped it away to Purcell, and Purcell scoots through. He's so quick. Michael Purcell got there in a flash. Once he saw that Neil had the arms free, he was there before anybody saw him, including the defence, and I might add the commentator. It was a brilliant piece of fullback play.
Great work by the Jets. Make no mistake, this is not ad hoc footy. They play to a structure. It just looks so different. You think, what are they doing? They know exactly what they're doing, and it's a credit to the coaching to bring in such a radical style that is clearly and understood by their playmakers. Pass up this time to Christian. Fires it out then. And this is the lead up to it. Back on the inside there to...
That's Barber.
He dodges away, turns him back in. This was the lead up. This is the preceding tackle play. And Pandya gets tackled. And then they go wide again through Phillips. Turn the big fella. That's their standard ruck play. And then what a good ball. Popping up to Purcell. He was the man of the match, Nat Neil, last week. And his work rate was terrific. That shows he's got some great skills as well.
And the conversion by Wes Conlon is good. So first points on the board, and there's 6 of them on the black and white Caps scoreboard. 6-0 in favour of the Jets over the Tigers.
Marika Suzuki provides you with exceptional service and
so the Jets draw first blood, and the Tigers a little shell-shocked by that, because for all this, Gavin, if you're the defensive team, in this case the Tigers, you've got to hold your line, you've got to hold your position. You can't get drawn out of that line and create the hole for Ipswich.
Well, they do get drawn out of the line. That's what they're looking for, and they're looking for lazy inside defenders as well, just to open that hole up even wider. Interesting, the first opportunity that the Jets had in the attacking zone, they score, so the Tigers' defence will need to smarten up.
So it's Ipswich, 20 metres short of halfway, and Mosley, former Penrith and Titans NRL player at hooker. They've also got on the bench Jaden Connors to play some role at dummy half. Looking a little wider here, straightening up, squaring it up. Phillips turns it inside to Pandya. Seb Pandya, strong runner. Plays it back, Mosley.
Other interesting thing there was Pandya at one stage I thought was playing right back row, so he's prepared to pick up anywhere. He's now playing left, so they don't mind mixing up the lefts and rights either.
Roving commission.
Throw out the coaching book one.
Well, that's right. Yeah, not that structure's different. Here's a high midfield bomb from Phillips, who's going to take it. Drinkwater can't get hold of it. Purcell has got it. He's got his winger with him. Turns Conlon back inside. They've got so many quick men in the back line. And
always crossing over. They've lost it.
Yeah, on the last tackle, I think it's a handover. Yep. Handover. Finally got caught there. But this is the thing. I know we're talking a lot about the Jets' style, but you've got to have the right players to play the style.
And I think that's what they've done. Where on their backs are very well speed men. I'll tell you what, the trap you can get caught into here with the Tigers is trying to play, and you've got to play your own game. You've got to play to your strengths. Keep your patterns in place. Don't worry about how they're trying to play. You just play your best footy.
And they've got a penalty here, the Tigers, and I thought that was one thing that was lacking the Tigers when they did have some attacking opportunities right at the start of the game. They just didn't seem to have a good understanding around the ruck. There were some breakdowns in communication.
Yeah, look, sorry, Roddy, away you go. So it's just interesting. I just noticed, I think East have got a little ploy to come to this right side to try and get at Dane Phillips and so forth. In the attacking zone previously, they did try a couple of times to come that way.
Okay, let's see Grinky now take it up the middle. Another chance now for the Tigers. They have been camped down here before, but unsuccessfully. Grinky's told to go back and play it. Long pass out there to Walters. Dummy runner Svensson picked up there Drinkwater. Drinkwater has Kaufusi charging alongside of him. He breaks his tackle, keeps going Kaufusi. Hard to stop from there, I'd say. Referee right on the spot. I think he's going to award it. He sure has. Kaufusi. Well, there's your answer. They play straight. They fight it out to Walters, got the wide pass. And then Drinkwater looped around. Kaufusi crashed off him, so you got a front row of 3 out. He bursts through the defence, looks back on the inside, and
just kept on going.
And that's right, and then just kept charging forward. There must have been at least 4 or 5 defenders trying to stop him. Good try, Tigers.
Yeah, they were like ants on a piece of meat as he went over the line. The Jets were coming from everywhere. They just couldn't stop him. So strong. He's got those tree trunk legs, and there was just no stopping Patrick Kaufusi from the Melbourne Storm, part of this East Tigers outfit today, and that was a very strong performance. He was there last week with the Tigers. He's there again today, and he may well be there most weeks this year because well, he's certainly playing his part there. That was a powerful run.
Yeah, look, it was indeed. And again, down that right edge that we just spoke about earlier. Interestingly, he played as a right second rower there, Kaufusi. So as the Jets are switching it up, it appears that the Tigers are as well. Like Svensson started there. He was nowhere to be seen in that play, though, so perhaps moved into the middle. But a powerful try by Kaufusi. Really, really well done. Goal kick coming up here from Braden Torpy to try and level it up.
So Torpy has it set, moves into it. Not much wind, and he steered it left. So it's still Ipswich leading 6 points to 4 on the black and white cap scoreboard. And we've had 18 minutes of play, and a pretty entertaining game so far. Of course, that try coming on the back of the penalty to the Tigers, and from memory it was the first penalty they've got. In fact, I think a lot of the fans here today will be pretty happy that we don't seem to see as many penalties being blown. Now, either the refs are going a bit easier on it, or the players and the coaches are towing the line.
I think they've learned very quickly, Warren. Certainly not
Let's
in the
hope
NRL,
so.
though.
No. Maybe they're smart. They're quicker learners in the Intrust Super Cup. Here's a short kickoff, firing it at the sideline, but it glanced off Connor Carey, took the pace off it, and Linkport was able to gather it in. So a try apiece, and the conversion has the Jets in front by 2. Back they go with the referee. They're all back in the 10 metres. Here's Grenke with that left leg, I should say, heavily strapped, but he seems to be running powerfully and freely, and he gets a little bit of work over the top there from Ben Shea. Former Winner Manly player, as David mentioned before. Here is now Jake Foster, just working his way to the edge as he likes to do. Good strong run from him. Slowish play the ball though. Now it's with Torpy. He turns Svensson under. Svensson was the second man going back inside. They're 30 metres out, 5th tackle. Right in centre field. Torpy shovels it left on the bounce, and bring it back was McAnally. Now it's Drinkwater from behind. He kicks for himself into open space, but the bounce won't favour him, and in the end, probably not the best choice of kick.
A short kick, you really need to be pretty sure you're going to get another go at it. Instead, it was pretty comfortably covered there by Sethi, so a good chance to get out of their own territory now.
And there's another bit of a breakdown on the last tackle where they haven't put the play together, as I'm sure would have been planned. Yeah,
you definitely got to finish your tackles well. As Pandia does well again to come up this left-hand side. Into dummy half will slide Marman Barber. Big strong run up the middle there by Lafipo. Had a good game last week as well. Coming down a blindside, little dummy to the left-hand side, up there to Purcell. He'll fade across, puts a long pass out, not a particularly good one, but recovered pretty well there by Christian. Christian dances around, little chip over the top. It's early in the tackle count as well. And wow, these coaches must be cool dudes, because if they allow that sort of licence, sometimes it'll work. And a lot of times it won't.
Yeah, Christian got blocked immediately. Ref said play on. He was on his back at the moment the ball left his boot.
Maybe one of the measures, Ryan, if you get tackled too many times in the Ipswich Jets, it's one of their measures. They say that's a bad performance.
Well, I think that might be a mark against you, but an offload is definitely a plus.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Port in centre field, dumbing to the left, and just takes a few more metres off them. Well set here, the Tigers can go either way. And it's Grenke, goes to the line, out the back. Torpy wide, loose again on the bounce. And here's trouble. They're away down the right-hand side. Flying away is Wes Conlon. I don't know if McAnally or anyone else. Tonamapaya can't catch him either. And he's going to go all the way. Whoa, Wes Conlon picking up The loose pass from Braden Torpey, it just did not connect. It's the second time we've seen a pass to the left-hand side hitting the grass for the Tigers, and they've paid the price this time. It's the Jets leading 10 points to 4.
You can't beat pace. If you've got pace, it can do a lot. And it's always, if you get a try against the runner play, it can have such a big bearing on the game. That's just bonus points. Admittedly, Ipswich have got the players to capitalise on it. The Tigers, as Warren said, went left. Pass was ill-directed. And young Conlon, who also had a good game last week, I think scored at least one try, races away, was a little bit in doubt whether he was going to make it. I like the last moment there with about 10 metres out. He was always having a peek over his shoulder and then changed direction. So Gav, again, capitalising on an error. They go the length.
Yeah, they do, and you know, that can happen in the game. I had made a note here, just think that some of the dummy half passing from the Tigers is a little bit off. You know, the ball's just not exactly in the right position. They're sort of reaching for it, the halves and so forth. So that's an area they can improve. And obviously, you know, young Braden Torpey, you'll learn from that. He's thrown a couple of poor passes right to left there. So he'll need to just to work on that and get that ball in front of his runners.
So here's Conlon right in front, taking his time, 10 metres out, and no difficulty for Wes Conlon. So the Ipswich Jets go to a lead of 12 points to 4 on the black and white cab scoreboard. And yeah, it was interesting, as you say, David, when Conlon was racing away, and young Tonomapea was right on his tail, but he just changed direction and threw Tonomapea completely out of stride.
Yeah, and that's how it's done. You've got to keep a bit of a slight look over your shoulder. Gav, you being an ex-back and a speed man as well, you'd be well aware of that tactic by when you're out on your own. You've got to be sure where the defence is.
Well, you know where you're going, they don't. That's the secret to it, Dave, isn't it? So you step left, they go right.
Yep. And it certainly worked for them. Let's see how the Tigers can put a bit of pressure on and whether the Jets will keep this going. They've got their own way of getting out of their own territory. As I say, they will allow a couple of rucks by the front rowers.
So we've got an interchange for the Tigers. Winterfield's out on the field, number 16.
Neil
for the Jets, I should say.
Neil forces a pass. Was it clear? Yes, it was. Well, that was very risky. Neil in traffic, pops the pass up, picked up there by Oswald. Grinky, who is playing in the middle now, strides out. Definitely Kafusi playing right second row. Here it is again, Walters. Kafusi goes forward. Drinkwater fires up to Kerry. He's a hard man to stop close to the line, Kerry. But if you've got three people against you, and he's going toward the touchline, referee's called held. Let's see what the Tigers can do from here, because when they go back and have to start again like this, let's see if they can be neat and tidy. They haven't been today. Up the middle there goes Svensson. Scored a great try last week. Walters standing directly behind the ruck, so it's not going to come this way, I wouldn't think. Not to Walters anyway. No, it'll find Drinkwater. Drinkwater throws the dummy. Good rushing defence. Might have been Phillips who raced up on him. It was. Last tackle play. Back to Walters. Oh, not a good pass. Well, Gav, you were challenging some of the passing from inside. That wasn't a good ball, and hard to blame Walters for it. You might say the good players have got to pick them up.
And David, not only that, as you mentioned before, or Warren might have said, you know, their last play options aren't that great either. Their kicking game isn't that great as far as getting the ball into the right locations in those attacking kicking situations. Yeah,
look, I really think the attack is malfunctioning for the Tigers today, and I don't know whether it is the fact of being put off by this unusual style that they've got to deal with from Ipswich, or whether they're just a bit out of sync. We've seen a couple of passes not finding young Tonomapea. Of course, he comes up from the Storm and he's outside the left of Torpey, and they just haven't been connecting on that side. But there's breakdowns around the ruck from out of dummy half. Yeah, last tackle. So they've got to get back on track. Ipswich are leading by 8 points, and they're on the halfway line. And trying to step his way through is Sam Kaslik, I think, is out there now. Playing in the centres, former Australian Rugby Sevens player. But where exactly is he playing? Okay, he's coming across to the left-hand side, to the left centre.
If he's a Rugby Sevens player, he should fit this Jets playing style.
Yeah, well, now, yeah, Kaslik has gone to the left wing, so is Barber still out there? Mel Tabert will bring us up to date with injuries. We'll find out, is Barber off the field, I think? That's a blow if he is.
Looks like he is. Can't see him out there.
Okay, we'll find out what's wrong with Marmon Barber, brother of Ben. Both originally from Mackay way.
Another high kick from midfield. They weren't able to regain, ended up with the Tigers. They've got a back-to-back or a bounce on penalty here. This will get them down on the attack again. And they need to capitalise too. Down by 12 points to 4 at the moment. And we've got about 14 minutes up to half time. Let's see if the Tigers can get back to that brilliant attacking play. They can play some good footy. Foster takes the ball up. Just the settler. They're structured here with a forward and back line there to Grinky. Charges forward. Now they're set up with a very staggered line. They go back on the left-hand side. Torpy straightens it up, fires it up there to Drinkwater. Drinkwater tries to brush away from the defence. Didn't move the defence at all. They just had them covered and just moved to the ball carrier. Tries to dash down a blind side. Does I think it's Tonamapia. He's quickly wrapped up. Tigers up here to Torpy. Gives up to the big fellow in Dave Tyrrell. Last tackles. They've only got it to 10 metres last tackle. They want a good finish to this set of tackles. Little chip over there by Torpy. Beautiful up in the air. Great take. McAnally. What a great take by Jared McAnally. Beautiful kick by Torpy. And he got it hanging up high. And McAnally up over the pack. They always talk about the advantage of the man coming through. He's got the chance to jump. The guy at the back there, if he's either backtracking or stuck under the ball, it's more difficult. But finally they get a finish to their set of 6, and it was very neatly done.
On the back of the penalty, McAnally, a much taller man than Wes Conlon, a perfectly placed bomb and perfectly taken. That's a great hit back by the Tigers and much needed, Gavin. Yeah,
look, and McAnally has made a name for himself in his whole career of taking those. He is a big, tall young man, and he's able to get up above the, I think it's Conlon out on that right wing to get those vital 4 points to get the Tigers back into the game. We've just been talking about their last pass or their last tackle options. That was a beauty and much better and just exactly what they needed.
On the black and white scoreboard here at Suzuki Stadium, the Ipswich Jets standing in front of that big screen here at Suzuki Stadium, the black and white cab scoreboard. Just an apologies, our Tiger TV score at the bottom of the screen is just frozen for the moment. We're trying to rectify that.
But the score is... Tigers doesn't keep in that differential for the rest of the game.
So here's Torpy lining it up from the sideline. Not an easy kick again. Not much breeze, if any, at the moment. It's very still. Reasonably warm late in the afternoon, but cooler than last weekend for the Tigers and the Jets. And this is a pretty well hit kick. Is it good enough? Yes, it is. Brilliant kick from Braden Torpy. And he brings the Tigers back within 2 points. It's the Ipswich Jets 12 and the East Tigers 10 with 11.5 minutes to go on the black and white cab scoreboard. So that kind of came out of nowhere just a little bit. I thought the Tigers tried.
Yeah, look, it did. They haven't been, as you mentioned, Warren, they've been pretty clunky. Well, that set didn't do a lot either. They didn't move the Jets around too much. They just had a good last tackle option, and Torpy would have got a bit of confidence out of that, and perhaps that flowed into that goal.
And here's a short kick. Port does well because it was high above his head. Knocks it back, and here's Svensson battling his way upfield. So that the Jets, they're not likely to be deterred from sticking to their ideas, and they've put in 3 short kickoffs to the left-hand side, and on each occasion it's usually been Port who's had to deal with it. Torpy, short ball. Foster running hard up to halfway. Back go the Jets, and we're keeping a close eye on that 10 metres. Here's Toot. He's on the field from the bench. Interchange. Jared Toot, the 21-year-old, originally from Charleville. Here's Walters, looks wide, and Kafusi gets pretty much a hospital pass, but for him, luckily, it was only the smaller frame of Phillips in his face. And back they go.
Grinky leaving the field now. We get a replacement in Iara.
A kick into the corner for Purcell. He pulls it in, and he's under pressure. Calm enough, though.
He was hoping it was going to run into touch. He waited for as long as he could, and then in the end did well to get a hold of it. This is good pressure now the Tigers can apply. They're not going to be confronted by a lot of go-forward charging rucks, so they might be able to contend and force a defensive kick. And we've got that's just a couple of tackles. They're still inside their 20. As the Jets now bring it out. They're prepared to take straight rucks with their forwards and their lock forward. Pandia runs out of dummy half. Playing a little bit safer here now, but can it last? Now back in a better position. Mosley a dummy half up there to Phillips. Phillips will run himself as he had a player called out of play. Purcell throws it back on the inside. Be play on. Picked up by Pandy. He's knocked it on. And play, it's recovered up by the Tigers. So they've got a good chance with the retreating defence. Good chance for the Tigers to roll them back a bit further. There's the big guy in Iara. Oswald to dummy half. Slowish play the ball. Oswald tries to just hold the attack while Chute picks up another 10 metres. So good position here to fire your big guns. Svensson's the first one. Lets one go up there to Walters, up there to Kafusi, back there to Drinkwater. Drinkwater finds Carey. Good defence. Didn't get frightened by the extra attacking players. They just kept moving to the attack ball. Pass up this time. Oswald up there to Chute. Good defence to shut him down again. As we're getting close to it's the fourth tackle. This time Torpy. Torpy goes at the line himself. Gets almost through. There it is now, the fifth tackle. They want at least an in-goal play here. Out of dummy half, it's all or nothing. And held up. Very hard to get the ball down from that close to the try line if you're up in the air a little bit, and Foster was held up.
Yeah, one thing I think the Ipswich team have done their homework on Scott Drinkwater. He was devastating last week and found a lot of space, but today he's running into defenders. They're all over him. Yeah,
look, they are, and perhaps that means they've got to change their play a bit and not give it to him as often as they are. Give it to that lead runner to get them honest and keep them honest in that on their slide, and then after 2 or 3 goes of that, then pop it out the back to Drinkwater and give him a chance.
So here the Jets now forced to work it out of their own territory. They have not kicked deep in the game from memory. There's been a number of midfield bombs, and they might be forced to kick deep this time because as Winterfield takes the tackle, he's still 15 short of halfway, and they've already used up a fair chunk of the set. Mosley gets it wide, and crunching tackle from Austell. There's plenty of shoulder in there with a bit of help from Aria. Now Pandia. Straight and hard, no frills here, but he's got a bit of a step and he gets to the edge and makes a few more metres. It's the fifth tackle. What would they do? Here's Phillips. It's the midfield bomb again. Midfield bomb, and under it is Port, and taken beautifully. Penalty for interference on the kicker.
Yeah, Phillips was in the air when he was contacted. Didn't end up falling in a dangerous position as such, but it was a dangerous action, and they'll get a penalty here that will allow them to go on the attack, and this is what they love doing. So let's see what the Jets can do from their set pieces, starting from close to the line. And
they haven't been really, starting sets from this position on the field very much to the Jets. So this is a great opportunity for them. Mosley hands it off, and away goes Ben White. Right, Phillips is coming to the left. He doesn't get it though. Mosley dummies that way, and going straight up the middle is Shea. Good run. Ben Shea only 5 metres out. They're stretched to the right, but they've got ideas either way. Mosley goes himself. He picks the third option straight up the middle. And very close.
Just held up.
Held up. But he hasn't lost it, or has he? No, he's still got it. I think it's, they're coming back. So still got 3 tackles to go here, Ipswich.
He went close there. He went in one way and then tried to roll back over the top of everybody, just missed grounding it.
So to the right, Phillips fires it even wider. And back now. It's inside, outside, and back out there again. Here's Purcell. Purcell just playing with them, toying with them, given the option on the inside by White. Now Purcell comes back to the right, and look, the Tigers hold their ground. Just shuffling across, not opening up a space. They know how quick he is. Finally takes the tackle, but a quick play the ball, like touch football. Here's Neil up the middle, crashing through. He's already got 1 try. Neil's might have another one. The big front rower could have 2.
So you get lulled into a false sense of security. I hope we can go back and pick up the preceding ruck where they just wandered across field, no defence moving up, so they start to feel like all we're going to do is hold because they're going to run sideways. And I tell you what, Ipswich Jets, the licence is for the 2 front rowers to charge on, and that's exactly what Neil did there.
But Dave, this was touch football. That is exactly a touch football play. Purcell has just gone one side, gone the other side, finally zips ahead, but the play the ball was whack, real quick play the ball, and there's a big man charging through before the defenders go back.
And to set it up, Warren, even though they went sideways for a long time there, the runner that hit the line, straight off that play, he didn't get tackled from running sideways. They had somebody hitting, which rolled him back 5 metres, and that was then the next ruck for Neil to go ahead again. So you can't get lulled into saying they're going to go sideways all the time, because I'll guarantee you the front rows have a licence to run straight. They get the most metres of anyone in their footy team, because the backs just go sideways until there's a gap.
Yeah. But that's the thing, you can't come out of the line and make the tackle, because that's what they want you to do, Gavin.
But don't sideways metres count, because I ran sideways a lot during my career, mate, and I think Bolo did as well.
It's a very good question. Here is the attempted conversion by Con. What I can say, Gav, is that the metre, number of metres is number of metres gained. I checked that today with these stats, because if it was run metres, which some of them call it
300 a game.
Yeah, and only 5 metres forward.
So it's 18-10 in favour of the Ipswich Jets over the East Tigers on the black and white Cab scoreboard. Kickoff, and the Jets have got it back, and they're leading here 18-10. They're in enemy territory in this 4X rivalry round, and it's been a pretty good performance by them so far. And I would point to their defence as well. Their defence has been very good. It has frustrated the Tigers.
No, they've got a good defensive. I think if you play with so much attack, which has got some risk to it, you've got to be able to back yourselves in defence. We talk about how should a side defend against this, and I've only seen them play a few times, so there's a lot of work that would be going in by other coaches. I agree you don't jump out of the line, because that's what you want, but you can't leave your line where it is. You should always keep moving up. As a line, not necessarily even sprinting, just keep moving up and don't allow them the time to just pick their time.
So out of dummy half, Mosley, and he finds a bit of space. The Tigers were backing off there. They didn't want to commit. He pinched a couple more metres. It's the 5th tackle, 35 out. And East player has fallen over. Young Kafusia just fell over, tripped himself. Here's Christian, puts it up high. This is another midfield bomb. Port goes forward. Purcell almost came away with it. Port's got it. Referee gives a penalty to the Tigers. I think it's for a challenge on the catcher in the air, but I thought that Purcell was, or maybe it was offside.
Yeah, no, I think it was in front of the kicker, Warren, yeah. And again, another midfield bomb after drifting across sideways, looking for some options. No options showed up, so they just stick it in the air. And what they do, the Ipswich Jets, they make everything a contest. Our game has developed to such a stage there where the scrums aren't a contest. There's no contest in our game other than a one-on-one strip, especially. So the Walker boys have decided that they'll make every opportunity a contest, and that's what they're doing.
And it's good tactics. The other thing they say is that they believe that the team who's got the ball the most, here's Drinkwater, we just stick with the play for a moment, here's young Tonamapaya almost through, 30 metres out, gathering a bit of momentum down that left edge. Drinkwater fires the pass to Torpy. Torpy knocked over, and Walters is calling the shots now. He's got Toot on his outside. Walters, Toot goes forward. But I'm not too sure if everybody knows what's going on out there. Walters is certainly calling shots. Here he goes. He links up with Drinkwater. No, it's Carey instead. Good variation that time. Good defence too by the Jets. Carey will play it 5 out. Last tackle. Sweeps it across to Walters. Long passes to Torpy. Could keep going with the hands. No. Puts the bomb up. Here's McAnally over. Oh, he's got it. No. Unless he's lost it.
He's lost it.
He came down without it. McAnally was all over the top. O'Connelly's a bit frustrated, and he throws what looked like a punch there, McAnally. He certainly thrust out an arm in the direction of one of the Ipswich players who might have
verbaled him.
Yeah, gave him what for dropping the well, it wasn't the World Cup, but it was a possible try.
He had it too, so he only lost it on the way down.
But also, I think it was Conlon there. Conlon didn't attempt to leap. I mean, McAnally was a metre and a half over the top of him.
Yeah, interesting. Sorry, Dave, just to cut you off there. But interesting they came out to the 10-metre line there. If it was a knock-on, perhaps it was a knock-on in the field of play, but it looked to me like it was dropped over the line. And I think I saw the touch judge's flag go up. So perhaps he put a foot into touch, or I'm not sure.
Touch and goal. If it's come out to the... Did it come out to the 10, mate, did it?
Yes, right, 10.
Okay.
Most importantly, he didn't come down with the ball. It looked as if it was going to be a second try to McAnally from another Torpy bomb. It wasn't.
Yep, another visit down there by the Tigers, not rewarded.
Nearly half time. as Phillips goes wide, and turning it back inside goes White. White, they'll keep it alive here as well. They've got nothing to lose. Conlon inside Winterfield. Here we go with White. This is like a training run. Mosley decides to try and grubber it through it. They've got it back again. 6 more tackles, in fact. They're only going to get 1, though, because the half-time buzzer is gone. Here's Julian Christian across field. Now back across to Mosley. Mosley dummies one way. Phillips is getting trapped, but now it's Sethi. Sethi decides he'll have a go. Finally, the Tigers make a tackle. He can't unload, and that is a remarkable first 40 minutes of football here at Suzuki Stadium. We've got the Toners sideline report coming up with Mel Tabbert. We've got our halftime talk report with you, courtesy of Minelab, one of our many sponsors on Tiger TV. But what we have got is a very interesting game of football with the Ipswich Jets leading the East Tigers 18 points to 10, and that was, David, a very entertaining 40 minutes.
Well, it doesn't lack entertainment value, does it, Warren?
Well, it just looks so different.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if I was sitting at home now, I'd be thinking, well, if this is the answer, why isn't everyone doing it? Well, it's not necessarily the ultimate answer. The Jets are doing something quite different. It's not as if it will work all the time. It doesn't, obviously, but it is quite a radical approach. I think that one of the hardest things is, as I said before the game, is you have to contend with this radical approach on the odd occasion. So your defence has to be ready for it. You'd have to train during the week. You'd look at your video sessions. One thing I would do, as I said late in the first half, I would have my defensive line continuing to creep up on them, Gav. Otherwise, if you don't move and you let them run across, they could throw, as they did. They ran across the ground there for 10 seconds and no one went in, walked across the ground. And then the other one, they'll do about 3 or 4 very slow motion zigzags. I think you've got to keep creeping up on them and not giving them all the time in the world. Yes,
you do, David. You're right. You have to keep creeping up on them and just keep that straight line moving forward. Yep. Again, what the Jets are looking for is for someone to dive out of that line, to make a rash decision, to come out of that line, and that's where the holes open up. Either that or they pick up a chaser, as we saw when Marmon Barber got injured right at the start of that first half. They get a chaser, they get someone chasing on the outside, and then the inside defender doesn't pick up the bit quick enough, and it leaves that hole. He doesn't come across at the same rate that his outside player in defence is, and just opens that hole up, which it did for Marmon Barber in that instance. And it was just good play by the in the finish. The inside defender did get to Barber, but only just.
The other thing, Gav, too, that I mean, the traditional, if you call it now, or the contemporary attack pattern with block runners and looping around, the Jets don't do that at all, do they? They don't have a block runner, because they're just not trying to get into that phase of play. They're all prepared to just hold up, turn them back inside. And for a defender, if someone's running straight at you, you can line them up and go bang. But what the Jets are doing, because they go across and decide who they're going to pick up on the angle, it's not as easy to put a big hit on them either.
No, that's right, David. And we saw it in the Neil try. The other option that they have is that as they do drift across field, those quick guys will then just bang, step off a foot and straighten into the line between 2 defenders, fall to their front, get that quick play of the ball, and then they're playing against a retreating defence. And that's what every team is looking for. You know, most teams do it by their big forwards just getting a roll on, and then the halves take over from there. But the Jets do it differently. They let their backs do the hard work, so to speak, find their front, and then the forwards take the roll on, as we saw in the Neil try.
Would it work at the NRL?
Well, you know, the Walker boys have nominated, or I believe applied for several coaching positions in the NRL.
They've made it quite open that they have, yeah.
And so, you know, I guess it's if a CEO or someone or a club is willing to take a gamble on a different style and see where it goes. But you know, no one in the Queensland Cup has taken the style on board, and they've been playing it now for a number of years. So the reality is perhaps no one is willing to take that gamble.
It would be a wonderful experiment if someone in the NRL did it, but I think the coaches, the Walker boys, would be on a 12-month contract. I don't think they're going to get 2 years.
Might be 12 weeks.
No one would be game to take them on for a longer stint. But you know, it'd be fascinating to see if it did happen.
The reality, Warren, is these guys are taking a risk as coaches. They're asking the CEO and the board to come with them and take that. And you're probably up to date. No one's been prepared. I think they went close at the Titans You know, obviously Brennan picked it up, Garth Brennan, but I know they were right in the hunt there.
Look, David, can I say, the one way to convince everyone is to keep winning competitions. Now, the fact is, they won in 2016, but they haven't won since. Now, you know, and this is why I come back to, you've got to have the players to do it.
Yep.
You remember that team that they had then? They had Matt Parcell in 2016, was one player who was absolutely on fire out of dummy half. So quick, scored a bunch of tries week in, week out. That's just to name one player. But they had a very talented squad. Now, they've sort of been trying to get that squad back together again. This looks a fairly likely squad they've got this year, I think, who might be able to deliver the goods. Now, it's a long way to shoot for a premiership, but that's the way you convince any club, whether it be another intrust super club or an NRL club. If you can line up the premierships, I say, you've got something.
Yeah, look, you know, we're always looking. There's always people that are willing to take the risk. Always people that are willing to be innovative in the sport. And perhaps this is not so much innovative as it was. This is a similar style to what was played in the older days, I guess, to a little extent. But you know, they are innovators here in this game. And you know, if you can innovate and you can be successful, then people will sit up and take notice. Just at the moment, there's not that consistency there, I think, from perhaps from game to game, week to week, and season to season, as you say, Warren. But you're right. If they can win a couple of comps or be in a few grand finals, you know, people will start to have a look, and you know, someone along the line, someone will put their hand up, perhaps, and take that risk.
Interestingly, I'm just looking at the 2016 grand final team for Ipswich, and another one of the guys who's playing tonight, who was there that day, was Dane Phillips at halfback. So it's interesting. He must be a pretty important cog in what works for this style of football, playing in the halfback role.
Yeah, look, I guess so. And you know, he's experienced as well. He's been to a couple of clubs. He's played this system with the Walkers for, you know, several seasons now, so he knows how they want to play. And you know, they just need those cool heads in those times to just guide the side around, no matter what style of football you're playing.
Marmon Barber was another one who was there in 2016.
Yeah, scored a wonderful try. Actually, I was there at that game.
Yeah, that memorable at Suncorp Stadium, the 27th of September 2016. The Jets too good on that occasion for Townsville Blackhawks. David, this is 4X rivalry round. And Gavin Payne is just one player who made the trek from the Tigers to Ipswich and came back again to the Tigers, but he's not the only one.
No, there's a great association here between the East Tigers and the Ipswich area, if you like, because if you look at some of the greats that have played for East over the years, Des and Rod Morris were from Ipswich. Jeff Denman, perhaps a lot of our current viewers wouldn't know the name Jeff Denman, but he played on the wing for Australia, and he was picked out of East Club here. This is when New South Wales were dominating in that period of like the early 70s, around about the 1970. You know, Kev Chicka Stevens, Terry Creedy, Peter Lobergeiger, Kev Murphy, Jim Foreman, Des Tractor Tracy, Sid Lewis. There's some great players there. And of course, in the more recent era, Kev, what a great nursery Ipswich has been. Not that these guys came to East, but the Langers and the Walters families. It's been a terrific nursery for rugby league in Queensland, and continues to be.
Yeah, look, just to throw a few more names in there. Larry Brigginshaw played in the '83 grand final, captain of the East side.
Halfback
in those days, the halfback, yeah. Ross Williams, Brett Cart. So there's been any number, even more recently. Not quite as gone to the heights of some of those people that you mentioned there, Dave. But you know, it has been a long-established relationship between the two areas. And obviously, before the Jets had their own side, the talented Ipswich players were looking for somewhere to go.
Yep.
And literally, we're just down the highway, and it is a highway now. In those days, it wasn't. It was a bit more stop-start, but certainly it's not a big trip to make, and it was the nearest club basically to them. So why not come and play for the Tigers?
And you've got Des Morris, who's still on the board, I think, here at East. He was the CEO for a period of time, so he's put his heart and soul into this club. So a great association over a long, long period of time between Ipswich and the East Tigers.
We're at Suzuki Stadium. The Ipswich Jets are leading the East Tigers 18-10 at half-time. The sun's going down. We'll be under lights during the second half. Players are coming back out onto the field. You're on Tiger TV with Warren Boland, David Wright and Gavin Payne this afternoon. And I just need to correct, I was saying that the Jets won in 2016. I should have been saying 2015. Doesn't seem that long ago, but it was 2015. And just to add to my point, since then, in 2016, the Jets came 9th. And in 2017, they came 7th. So this is what's letting down the Walker boys you know, making the NRL. They've got to be in the finals every year and preferably winning a grand final. Before that, just interestingly, the Jets were always in the finals 5 years in a row, 2011 to 2015. So they had a really good run. Kevin Walters was coaching during some of that period for the Jets. I think just before that was Glenn Lazarus coaching the Jets.
I think what you're showing, Warren, as we've said, you've got to hand-pick a side to play this sort of game. Not all teams would be, or all players would be suited to it. I'm sure the Walters boys have converted quite a few who probably scratched their heads and thought, how can I play that game? But they've done extremely well. It is structured. It is not go out there and do whatever you like. The two boys are down there on the sideline now. What a great story for two brothers to be both like they're co-coaches. They're not like a head coach and an assistant coach. They work collegiately together. They're both good guys. I think it was Shane I saw up at a Men of League Golf Day some months ago, and I saw him as we were walking into the game, and he said, "Hello, Mr. Wright." I thought, oh, isn't that showing a lot of respect? He probably didn't know my first name.
Just so they're down there on the sideline having a bit of a laugh together. And another recent great from the Ipswich Jets is there too, Kieran Lander. What a tireless footballer he was. Oh, gee, every time he went on the field, he was just... I just so admired the effort he would put in. I think we better talk about the Tigers just for a moment. This is Tiger TV after all. And what do the Tigers need to do to get going in this game? You know, they're down 3 tries to 2 at the moment.
Well, I think you've got to play your own game, Warren. I think they have been a little bit put off by the style of the Jets. They are more than capable. We saw them, they were down by 10 points to 0 last week against the Cutters and came back strongly. They have got some very good players. I think they need to take stock, and I'm sure Scott Sipple has taken the opportunity at half-time to say, listen, let's just play to our strengths. Don't worry about, you've got to nullify theirs, but you must play to your own strengths. And I think you can't get lulled into this sort of stop-start standoff game with these guys. You've got to get in there and steamroll.
So underway from the boot of Billy Walters in the first half. Tries for Ipswich to Purcell, Conlon and Neal, and for the Tigers to Kafusi and McAnally. 18 points to 10 as it stands as we get into the second half. And as I said, the lights are just starting to come on and they're going to be needed by the end of this game. Here's Nat Neal, who's took of tireless workers, puts his head down and charges ahead. Leading the way, the Ipswich captain. Wide ball comes out to Phillips, back inside to Shea. He's got that short, sharp stepping action. Just gets up on his toes, but a big man nevertheless. Mosley gets it away to Pandya. I think Mosley played right through the first half at dummy half. We didn't see any change of his position, interchange. Back inside it comes from Phillips, and straightening it up is Sethi. Pio Sethi from Fiji, the 24-year-old. Now, on the last tackle, it goes up from Phillips, trying to swirl it away from Drinkwater, but he takes it comfortably and comes back through the forwards, chopped down on the 20.
Feature of the Tigers game last week was their ability to get out of this end of their field with some good dummy half running just like that, and good quick play the balls to roll on. That's exactly what you've got to do. Don't play the Jets with their fiddly sort of game, and I say that fiddly in giving them credit for the way they do it. But you've really just got to take them on. I wasn't too impressed with that first set of defensive 6 that the Tigers had. There didn't seem to be a power in the tackles. The first tackle of the game, which is normally the one you get in there and crunch them, there wasn't much crunch. There was a bit of a hug going on, but not much power and crunch. The Tigers have got to lift their intensity. Let's see what they can do from here. Torpy's under a bit of pressure. Fires the pass up there to Foster. He's forced to put a little chip over the top, and that wasn't part of the plan originally. And they've been surrendering possession then with a pretty soft kick option.
That was good work there by Conlon. He came out of the line and put the pressure on Christian and put the pressure on, on Torpy, and that forced them to move the ball out to Foster. So here's the Jets just short of halfway. Now we're wondering in particular what had happened to Marman Barber from the Jets, injured in the first half and left the field. Mel Tarbet can tell us the latest on that injury and everything else from downstairs. Hi Mel.
Hi, how's it going? So Marman Barber, they were testing out his right shoulder, so not sure if it was a stinger or a cuff, but he seems to be not out there again. So I don't know. He might be out for this half.
Looks that way. We've got Rory Humphreys on the right wing at the moment. His 5th tackle for the Jets. just inside the Tigers half, but they're under stress here from Svensson. Chip over the top, sudden change of ideas, and it's been knocked on, and Drinkwater's got it for the Tigers. And now Port skipping away. Mel, any other news from the dressing rooms?
Yeah, so we've got Brett Granke, so he has re-injured his left shoulder. He has got it all strapped up and will be back out there.
Okay, here's a breakdown field by Carey. Tackle from behind. Diving tackle was a good one there. I think it was Sethi made the tackle, cleaned it up. But they're on the attack here, the Tigers, as Kafusi tries to rip through the tackle and loses half his shorts in doing it. Big short sharp out on the right to Walters through the hands of Salter, who's on the field there at the moment, a dummy half for the Tigers.
Shouldn't happen that 5'8" should get caught at first receiver like that. Shoot
going ahead and only 10 metres out now, and they've still got a couple of tackles to go here, the Tigers. So Ipswich defending their line, and Salter has a run at it, can't get away, can't get all the way through at least. Fifth tackle, Chute at dummy half. Oh, bad pass behind to Torpy to nobody. Torpy has to go back 10 metres and now just grubbers it through tamely, and Ipswich a handed possession, and that is a terrible breakdown with that bad pass from dummy half, Gavin.
Yeah, it's just a repeat of that first half. I'm sure that Scott Sipple, coach of East Tigers, would have been trying to address that during the first half and when that half-time break, but obviously an unfamiliar position for Toot to be in, and a poor pass resulted.
Yeah, and Gav, I mean, you can win and lose your game, and how you finish your sixes. It's a critical part of the match.
So crossfield goes Humphreys here.
Absolutely crucial, David. You know, it's that finishing set where your opportunity to get another set, but in that instance it wasn't possible for the Tigers.
As Sethi now taking the tackle as Ipswich started to work their crossfield plays. Now turning it under, as we see regularly through the forwards, turning a player back under into the ruck and trying to pull in the Tigers' defence. Mosley has a dash down the left but turns it out to the right, and here's Shea backing up and going well. Shea still going. The Ipswich attack is certainly troubling the Tigers. They're just not quite sure how to handle it. Here's Christian. Puts a chip bomb up to Drinkwater. No one can get through, and Drinkwater was allowing it to bounce. Tonamapaya's got it.
Could have been an offside play there. It was interesting that the Tigers didn't...
Oh, intercepted.
Great
intercepted.
Work.
No, the referee is...
Knocked forward by the Jets. Is he going right back to the original...
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he must be saying there was no advantage played.
Well, that's what he's saying, but that's a long advantage.
Well, it was certainly a mistake. It was a mistake on the intercept pass where the Tigers threw it back, and probably lucky to get away with that.
Yes, indeed. They're playing a bit of Ipswich Jets play down their own end there, the Tigers, but fortunate to get away with that indeed. Tigers
now to work it out of their own territory. As I say, they did so well with their dummy half running and their speed. And this penalty will be extremely helpful. Avoid you having to do the hard yards. And the Tigers now, let's see if they can be more cohesive, and if they get to the back end of their six, can they put a really good pressure play on? You've got to really maintain pressure. You can't. The Jets, if they're allowed to control possession and get their share of the ball all the time, they're also fatiguing you by running you around the park and trying to wear you out all the time with all these offloads. There's Svensson, he takes it up the middle. I'd be playing a power game against these guys too. I'd be really playing fast and hard straight at them, going up there to shoot. He spins out nicely, but the defence still strong enough just to get him at a second attempt. You've got to go back, son. You won't get away with it that easy. Tackle was affected. He thought he'd broken the tackle. Up there to Walters. He's been close to the line a lot today. This time, is it Kafusi out there on that right-hand side, so he's playing right edge again. They go down to blind side through Salter. Salter fired it up to Walters, and he got it away as well to Carey. And they've got it for going forward. Well, this is not a... there's too many errors by the Tigers today, and through that, and some not good finishes to their sets of six. They have really lacked any pressure, long-term pressure on the Jets. They've had it easy.
Yeah, I think they'd be frustrated by the lack of combination and timing and understanding. All those words that to do with, teamwork are basically breaking down out there, and I can't put my finger on what it is.
Yeah, look, there's an opportunity for the Tigers, I think, coming about in the early part of the second half. If we'll keep an eye on it, but they are getting running hard and getting that quick play of the ball. They're finding their front and getting up and play the ball. Perhaps not quite as quickly as they need to, and if they can just speed that up just a fraction, then they'll be going back, as we spoke about in the first half, at these retreating defences. So, I think there's opportunities there. It's just that they're not consistent enough with their ball control. I don't know what the completion rate is, but the Tigers have made several errors this afternoon, and a lot of them down in that attacking zone.
Yeah, very much so. So many errors where something is breaking down between the dummy half and the halfback.
And without putting too much onto Billy Walters, he's been under pressure in passing quite a bit in this game. He's either got to be a step wider or a step deeper. You've got to make sure that you've got time to execute your plays. This time the Jets now to work it out of their own territory, spinning away there.
Purcell close to the sideline, and he threw it back in. No, he had a touch first. So that is a mistake on the first tackle. And he's been hurt. Foster's there keeping an eye on him.
Flung into the ground heavily, quite legally.
I think it's Conlon who's the injured player, not Purcell. Purcell got the ball away to either Christian or Conlon.
And he was then under pressure and really strongly tipped to the ground. We've said before, the caption you've got at the bottom of your screen there is outdated, so ignore that one. We've got a score at the moment of 18 points to 10. It is the halftime score, and it favoured on the black and white scoreboard 18 points to 10. It still favours the Jets, so they've got a 8-point lead, the Jets, and now a terrific chance for the Tigers to go on the attack. They need to reduce this deficit, and no time is better than now. This time, the pass up there to Walters. He gets it away. Up there to Drinkwater. But again, the defence just comes around. 2 players on Drinkwater. He was running into gaps or offloading passes last week. The Ipswich defence has been good. Walters this time gets it up there to Chute. Chute goes straight at the line. They're inside the 10 now. No penalties for offside, as I can recall in this game. Svensson steams up the middle. Steps through a couple. Let's see a couple of favourite plays here, although you're getting close to the try line now. You really got to punch it across with a straight runner. Torpy, pass out there to Tonema. Can he break the tackle? No, up there to Drinkwater. Drinkwater fades across and straightens, but the defence again ready to shut him out as soon as he decides to take it on. I'll go down the right down. That's the punch play you need. Svensson close. Has he got across? He's just short. Desperate defence in the end, just held him up. Good quick play the ball. Pass on the outside there to Walters. Little grubber kick through to the winger. Came back nicely to cover that. The left wing, who's playing on that left wing?
I think that's Rory Humphries filling in for Barber on that wing, I think.
Okay, well, he's done well because he dropped back very quickly to be ready for that kick.
Yeah, look.
In fact, that was Kaslik, my mistake.
And
Kaslik.
It's a good set from the Tigers as well. They worked them around. Their go forward was there. The quick play, the balls were there. Just excellent defence from the Jets. I was only able to hold them out in that instance.
So here goes Pandya for the Jets, straight and hard. No frills to that, and no novelty about it at all. Just straight and hard and effective. But the slow play, the ball takes the edge off it. Now they go up the middle and diving tackle from behind by Yaria. Here's Pandya ready to go again, and up it goes from Christian. High, and Drinkwater underneath it, takes it safely. Good chase from Purcell, but he gets away from him, Drinkwater. These two having a pretty good battle, when you compare their performances, the two fullbacks. And Purcell probably got his nose in front at the moment, but that was a good take from Drinkwater. Here's Port, Link Port up the middle. I don't think I'd be taking on the likes of Lafipo and Neal up the middle, but I would be targeting some of those smaller men like Phillips or Christian. That's got to be the target for my money. One wide, one pass and hit it hard there. On the halfway, it's Torpy dumbing inside and halfway through, got the arms free, had McAnally following. Quickish play the ball. Away goes Salter. He's got players there too backing him up, and it was Little. Ash Little was there. Last tackle. They're on the surge now, the Tigers. This is better. Kicking for McAnally, but the kick doesn't find the space, and still running, and he looks like he's recovered pretty well from that injury. It's Conlon.
Well, not a bad set of 6 again from the Tigers, but again that kick, you're going to try and get into the in-goal area there. There's twice in a row they've been unable to get a kick from reasonably close to the try line into the in-goal, and it's allowed the Jets to work their way back out of their danger zone, and they've done it pretty quickly. Mosley goes out of there. That's the big fella, and Lafipo. A bit of interchange bench time, so he should be fresh. Mosley, who's had a pretty good game today too, working out of that dummy half roll. Getting up to 40 metres out from the Tigers line. Christian, I think it was.
This is going to be hard.
Drinkwater under pressure. He's got a good hand, Drinkwater. He does take those well. He's very safe. I think I've seen him drop too many.
Yeah, that was a fine kick. That had the torpedo on it and was going to drop away from the fullback, but he handled it well. Now here's Walters for the Tigers and Carey. The backs making a few metres. Give the forwards just that little bit of a break. Now Kafusi's lining them up. Here he comes, Patrick Kafusi. Pushes one away. He saw Pandya down onto the dirt, but up to halfway. Now Chute. Good surging run from him. He's been effective since coming on.
Last tackle.
And kicking out a dummy half is Salter, and he's going to find touch, I think, here. It rolls in deep. And again, not what you would necessarily expect. You might want to pin them in the corner and start pinning them down there rather than playing for the scrum. But nevertheless, a better kick than we've seen most of the game.
Yes, look, it was, and you know, ideally they'd love to roll that into the corner, as you said, Warren, and just get their defence going to try and wedge them in the corner for 3 or 4, and then make them put a downtown kick in, a deep downfield kick and so forth. But that wasn't to be, and they get a little bit of a respite here, and an injured player somewhere along the line. So I think this game's really going to open up, just starting to open up a little bit today, this evening, just in this start of this second half. And I think it's really going to open up more as the players get a bit tired. You know, those inside defenders might drop off a little bit for the Tigers, and also it takes, make no mistake, it also takes a fair bit out of the Ipswich Jets players as well, running this style of play, in that, you know, they can get then tired and lazy in defence. So I think we're going to see a few more tries just yet.
Well, if you're a Tiger here, you're thinking, okay, we get the chance to really pound them here, and let's see if we can get an error. But from memory, the Ipswich have not coughed up too many errors today.
No, can't recall too many, Warren, at all. And you know, that no try just before half time where McAnally dropped the ball over the line might come back to haunt the Tigers. But I think we're in for a bit of a cracker of the remainder of the game.
Well, one of the reasons I think the Jets, and you'd have to look at a lot of stats to see just what their error count normally is, but they decide when the collision's going to happen. They pick their mark. They don't invite the massive open play collision by just charging to the nearest 3 players. So it's a style. You'd have to have a look at a lot of stats to see just, even though they throw it around a lot of their passing is not under pressure. They're doing it with this paused defensive line until they decide to cut one back on the inside.
Well, after a long delay, the Jets have won the scrum, and there's a lot of players a long way from the play the ball at the moment. They're all in centre field for the Jets. Now they're starting to marshal the troops and take up positions. And Connors has gone into dummy half. There's Jaden Connors inside to Pandya. Pandya halfway through, and Connors was very quick to react, to back him up down the middle, pushed up, ready. He goes quick. Look how quick he is, Jaden Connors. He is lightning out of dummy half.
Kept it alive too. Popped it out the back.
Here's Purcell. Purcell always following. What a good fullback he is. And dummying, trying to open up the hole. Put down by young Tonamapaya with McAnally. Conlon dummy half. And working it right to left. Short pass from Phillips. Not quite as effective this time, but look at Lafipo go. Lafipo makes something of it. He's strong. They're only 10 metres out here. Kick ahead, and Chase is coming quickly. Conlon was right after it, and it's been touchdown. I think that's an Ipswich try. It's hit the pads and bounced to the left. The kick initially seemed to be for the first player going through on the right-hand side of the pads, but then it was picked up on the inside, and that is going to be a try to Ipswich to extend their lead out to 22 points to 10.
The sponsors' goalpost pads come into play again. Intra Super Cup sponsors pads there. They often kick for those goalposts, and with those padding there isn't as big as some of the ones that we see these days, but it is a good target. And once you get a deflection, very hard for the defence to adjust to it when it's around on the ground there. They had plenty of players chasing through, so good effort there from the Jets. They've capitalised. And the Tigers, well, they've got the work in front of them.
And we were just talking about the attacking kicking game of the Tigers, not quite where it needs to be. First opportunity again that the Jets get that I can recall in this second half. Good attacking kick results in the try. So that's just probably the little difference at the moment between the two sides, in that the Jets are probably more efficient in their play, in their ball control, and in their final tackle options.
It was the speed of the chasers as well. I mean, they had two options absolutely just flying through the East defenders and coming out in front of them. They had the two of them there ready to pounce, and turned out off the pads, and it was between the posts the try. So here's Conlon with 23 minutes left on the clock. The Ipswich Jets on the black and white cab scoreboard have a handsome lead here now, 24 points to 10. And it's a long way back for the Tigers right now.
Yeah, a lot of work for the Tigers. They're not out of it. They must lift their game. I think they'll get lift in intensity as well. As I said before, I don't think their defence has been punishing. You get conned a little bit by this standoff attack. You must keep going at them and put some pressure on, because they're not feeling any pressure at all at the moment. The Jets, they're being allowed to play exactly the way they want to, and the Tigers are going to have to go up about 3 gears.
The Tigers have won 7 of their past 8 home games, so they feel very comfortable here. This is a fortress, but at the moment the fortress is under siege.
Sure is, and Jets are holding the trumps at the moment. The Tigers, they're not out of, what have we got, 14 points in it. They've got to score more than 2 converted tries. It's possible. You start playing some footy.
Here's some good stepping. Christian now down the middle goes Connors. Connors out against Drinkwater. He's sprinting away from the fullback, trying to find support. The wing is too slow to go. He's still going. He nearly went all the way. Where was Conlon? Conlon was asleep, 30 metres behind. Connors, what a brilliant run. Down right to left. Now they swing it from one side to the other. But good tackle there by Carey, I think it was. Got up and no, Walters cut him down. So Christian now trying to burrow his way through the line. Straightening up, and the Tigers now back in control just for the moment as Austwell climbs off the tackle. Here's Phillips kicking through and looking against.
Oh, he's got another one.
Got another one. Well, chasing it through was Purcell, but he's not the scorer for the second time. He's twice ready to be the first one to dive on it, but another Jet has come through and picked up a second try.
Oh, when you're having a tough night, it continues there. 2 kicks with a little grubber kick there. A little grubber kick through made all the... and again, it was an attacking, positive kick. Pressure on, I think it was Walters to try and pick it up in an awkward situation. Had to be sharp reflexes. And again, the Jets rushing through. So they made a bust from 50 metres out, straight up the middle of the ruck. I'd be very interested, Gav, to see these GPS trackers. I don't know whether the Intra-Super Cup players have them on like all the NRL ones. They track how much distance you travel in a game. There's 2 interesting things would be how far do the Jets run, but also how far does the defence run, albeit a lot of it is around, because if you control the ball, you're going to tire the defence with this sort of action.
Most definitely, Warren. You know, it's I don't think many of the Intra-Super Cup teams do have those the trackers as such, the trackers as such. So it would be difficult, but certainly, you know, we've seen the Jets guys, you know, Purcell and these guys going back and forth across the field, so they would get several kilometres up in a game. You would certainly imagine, but you know, it's again that attacking kick that came to fruition there for the Jets, and it was great play up the middle. You know, just those sharp guys getting in between defenders again, getting their hands free and just popping balls to people who are coming at pace. And you can't. Pace is a God-given gift. You can't coach it. Well, you can to an extent. You can get a little quicker, but it's generally a God-given gift. And you know that's the difference between these sides today. And that's what at the Jets launch they were talking about. They're talking about the speed of the players. And the Walker boys were very confident they had the team to go very well in this competition this year. And so far tonight, you wouldn't argue with them.
30 points to 10 in favour of the Ipswich Jets. 5 converted tries. Conlon has kicked 5 conversions out of 5. And both of the second half tries coming from those short kicks, as you said, with very quick players racing through and pouncing. The The Tigers have got it back from the kickoff. Good work on the far side as it was battered back. I think it was Link Port and Carey diving on the ball. So can they fight back here? There are 18 minutes left. Not impossible, down by 20 points, but it's going to take more than 3 converted tries to get back to level terms for the Tigers. Young Tonamapaya gets a bad pass and McAnally's away. McAnally flying, and chased down by Conlon from behind. They're not big, but they're certainly willing, some of these Jets backs. Another bad pass comes out. Torpy couldn't even get his hands on it. Taken by Ostwald in the end. So Torpy, short pass to Tyrrell. Tyrrell not far away. Ostwald gets it away. Here's a chance for Torpy. Torpy's over. Has he got it down? He has. Braden Torpy hits back. Chris Ostwald, who's just come back onto the field, injects himself with some short, sharp work off a couple of quick play the balls. Tyrrell was involved as well, and Braden Torpy strikes for the Tigers. Well, I only said there's 18 minutes to go. Now there's 17 minutes and 50 seconds, and they've scored one of the tries, and it's next to the post. So this is not a totally forlorn cause for the Tigers.
Well, they needed to turn it around, and points on the board will do the trick, and you've got to start really focusing now on your attack. They've got to build it up from here. At least they've got one back, which was critically important to them. Kick is also just as important with Walters coming back. They can still win this, the Tigers, but it will take a transformation. I think they got somewhat mesmerised a bit by the Jets. He's kicked it, so now we've got it back to 30 points to 16, still more than a converted try.
And interestingly, boys, that came from a short kickoff that the Tigers employed. So, taking a leaf out of the Ipswich Jets books. So perhaps, what do they say? Flattery is, imitation is the best form.
Greatest form of flattery, yes.
Form of flattery, so,
But I would say the different situation. East are going for a short kickoff, down by 18 points, Gavin. Ipswich did it from the kickoff at the beginning of the game.
There's a desperation factor in there. Let's see what they can do now, the Tigers. It's not beyond them at all to put a lot of points on. Little
short
rubber kick. It's got to go 10 metres. He's got to wait. No, it didn't. So it'll be a penalty to the Tigers. This is what they wanted. So first up, they get a penalty. Walters dummy to take a tap and run, but Torpy's got a big kick on him. He'll be looking to find about 25 metres here and give the tie. We won't find 25 metres, not one of his better directed kicks. But anyway, still great position to attack from. Can they get back-to-back tries to Tigers? Pass up this time to Kafusi, straight up the middle. He's had a powerful game, Kafusi. Normie bumps, he's got a great running position. The head and shoulders well in front. Walters passes the ball out the back, up there to Grinky. He's come back on from having a stint on the interchange bench. Drinkwater throws a dummy, looks down a blind side, didn't really know what he was going to do before he did that. Up there to Drinkwater, he dashes across. He's going to play his own style of Jets football. Goes out on the outside. Will he turn it back? No, he's run all the way, got across. Scotty Drinkwater, he's done it all himself. He said, whatever you can do, I can do better. Kept running across. I thought he had to find the inside runner. He knew better. He went all the way himself, but he was tempting with the running he was doing. He looked for a pass. He started it all from dummy half. I think he was the one who got caught out, not sure what to do. Ran out of there, ducked across field, kept going, staying away from the fence, and you need pace to do that and go all the way across. Had an inside runner, I think, in Carey, and then an outside runner also, perhaps in Port. Didn't use either, went all the way himself, and bang, bang, the Tigers are back. You'd want to also get every conversion you can. Not an easy one.
2 tries in 3 minutes, and it's game on here at Suzuki Stadium. The Jets 30, the Tigers 20, 14 and a half minutes to go, and Torpy is taken back the goal kicking. Walters landed the last one from near the post, but Torpy is the preferred option from out wide. Landed one in the first half, but it was from the other side of the posts as he faced it. This will be a little bit harder to slice back through. He moves in, it's close, he's hit it well, but he's missed it. The gap is 10 points. 2 converted tries would put the Tigers in front, and there's plenty of time all of a sudden in the game.
Yeah, look, and really that was a great play by Drinkwater there. It's the first time he's really had an impact on the game, and he reminds me a lot of Yep.
Billy Slater?
Slater, yeah, who's got a great mentor for him, obviously. Billy obviously does that as well. Scoots across field and then just picks his spot to go. Very similar to Billy indeed, Drinkwater there, and a credit to him to get across that line.
Now the pressure's on the Ipswich Jets here. Do they go for another short kickoff? They made the mistake. They gave away the penalty last time. Won't be a penalty this time, but they won't get the ball back either.
Now the Tigers with another chance to continue this attack, and if you get a bit of a roll on, there starts to be a little bit of panic can set into the opposition. Up the middle there goes Svensson. He's strong, pops the ball out the back as well. Carey's a strong runner, goes straight up the middle. Good quick play, the ball helps you roll on. Defence rolling back. There hasn't been a penalty for offside all day, even when you've got them under pressure. Is there a new edict out? Let's see what happens from here. This time David Tyrrell up there to Grinky. Grinky only one to beat Purcell. He puts the sidestep on but slipped over. Purcell just managed to get to him only for that reason. I like Grinky's intent to put the big sidestep on. Svensson again, I think it is, trying to get up the middle. Almost under the last tackle play. At least get the in-goal area. Out of dummy half goes Oswald. Can he keep it alive? I think he's short. They've come up short again. Just when you wanted to keep that momentum rolling. He had a go, Gav, but no bickies.
Diamonds or rocks, that one for Oswald, wasn't it? And not exactly what the Tigers needed in that instance. Let's see if they can rev up here with a big defensive set, get the ball back in some sort of attacking situation, because they are on a roll. As I said, the game would open up, and it certainly has.
Well, what beautiful football that was. Tyrrell and Grenke together. Grenke splitting him, and he went off that left foot with the sidestep. I reckon he had the fullback beat, but slipped over. Slipped over, and now this could be... this is almost rugby union play by Nat Neal, isn't he? Down on one knee, claiming he's injured, but I think they're just sucking him in here, the Ipswich boys. Just regaining some control of the game, because it's all the Tigers suddenly.
What I'm looking for, Warren, is the Tigers to put some really strong tackles on and drive them backwards. I don't recall them driving back the Jets much in this match. You've got to get them down here, hit up high and drive.
Yeah, Tyrrell needs to get out of there. Doesn't want to give away a penalty.
Dash out a dummy half here by the Jets. Can they work it out of there? Pandia runs out a dummy half. He's a big, strong, he's a Kumul, Papua New Guinea international. Runs out of there and picks up some pretty easy metres. Nothing too fancy at this stage. This time charging up the middle. Is that Lafipo? I think it is. So they're picking up some straight running now. This time Shea. So the middle three, the two front rowers, and then the back rower come out of the dummy, rucks. This is a good kick, this one. Good, positive, and well executed kick. Talk about closing out games. He's kicked that from about 45 metres out. Found touch inside or just on the 10. And that's a good play to take the opposition right to the other end of the park.
But is that the first orthodox kick we've seen all day from Ipswich? Finding the sideline, kicking deep. We have not seen that once till now.
And the first orthodox set, so exactly. 5 hit-ups as such, and then the kick to the corner. So they can play both styles, I guess, when they choose.
And I think that's one of the things. They do interchange their style a bit. You know, sometimes you think, well, they're going to keep going sideways, and then all of a sudden they decide to punch it at you. They do cut in and cut out to a certain extent. Nothing predictable.
So the Tigers have been able to break open Ipswich's defence a couple of times in the last few minutes. Can they do it again with 11 minutes to go in the game? And up the middle goes young Tonamapaya, and Neal monsters him to the ground with a bit of help from Shea. They get off the player as quickly as they can. Don't want to give away any penalties here. Now Foster leading the way.
Has there been any penalties in this game?
It's a totally different game to what we've seen so far this rugby league season.
This ref had Tiger TV on last week, I think.
I have noticed players really racing back 10 metres today. I don't know whether I've just noticed it.
Can't tell me they're back on sideline. This is just a different way to... This is the right way to referee.
Anyway, here's Svensson pivoting around and on the halfway line, held on the 5th tackle. Now, surely this time the Tigers will kick deep. Torpy, no, he goes high with a midfield bomb, except it's not midfield. And allowed to bounce, it can go anywhere, it does. Purcell gets it on the 2nd bounce, and Purcell just needs to be careful of his ball carry here, doesn't want to lose it. The Jets have to remember they are leading by 10 points. They have to play like front runners with a bit of control. Here's Conlon going across field, but they're not mucking around now. We haven't seen too much fancy just waltzing across field sideways, you know, sort of playing with the East Tigers defence. I think the Jets are gone into a bit more of typical football themselves, trying to protect this lead. Let's see what they do here. Mosley dummies twice. Winterfield takes it on the edge of the ruck. Up the middle he goes. Mosley calling the shots at dummy half. And they've got a penalty, a vital penalty against Foster.
Well, that is a vital penalty. What have we got? The score at the moment. We apologise again for that
30 to 20
scoreline on your screen. But 30 to 20 we've got. So will they take 2 points and get the 12-point lead? Yes, they will. Well, that is very traditional. I'm shocked. I thought they'd go for an attack play.
Well, it's also from 35 metres out, he would want to kick it dead. He wouldn't want to miss and give the Tigers possession, even if it would be at their end of the field. So it's an interesting decision, a tricky one for the captain, but Nat Neal says if we can get to a 12-point lead, he's got confidence in his kicker, points on the board.
Has Nat Neal had a break? Have you seen him come off? I don't think the big front rowers had a break at all. What an outstanding effort from the captain and leader of the Ipswich Jets.
Yeah, dead right. Dead right. So a most important kick coming up from...
And this is the traditional approach to getting the 2 points and getting it out to 12 points with 8 minutes to go. The Tigers will still have a chance to fight back. Kick, touch, judges don't move. Over she goes, so they've got it out to 12 points. Not beyond the Tigers to put it back to back. That was tactically the traditional decision. But, the Jets have been anything other than traditional in this match and in the last few years. And Friday, as we said before, had a radical approach to playing footy.
This will be a short kick-off from Drinkwater. Left footer for Port.
They need the ball. Good kick by Drinkwater. Got a bit of hang time as well.
Port's
Beautiful
got it.
take by Port. Well, they got a regain from the kick-off a couple of tries ago, so they're trying to do it again. Oh, that's an awkward pass up there to Svensson. Takes it forward, gets it inside the 30-metre zone. Oswald into dummy half, runs out of there because there was a couple of lazy markers. Almost goes straight through the line. Forces Walters into the dummy half. Torpy first receiver. Fires it out this time. Up there to... that's a good chance for McAnally in the corner. Yes, I think he's got it. McAnally's made it. The acrobatics of the wingers these days is very impressive. McAnally had to pause for a moment after that good work was on the inside with Torpy firing it out. I think it came through the hands of Drinkwater as well. Then quick hands out there to McAnally. Torpy's going to try and convert this as quickly as he can. But I'll tell you what, don't rush and sacrifice the importance of getting this kick.
6.5 minutes still to go. That is a long time in the modern game. The referee will call time off during that last 5 minutes. So Torpy, this is absolutely vital. This 2 points, he does, as you say, doesn't want to rush it, but he hasn't taken too much time over it. It swings it towards the post. It looks pretty good from here. What a magnificent kick from Braden Torpy. The goal kickers have been on the money tonight. Braden Torpy converts, and on the black and white cap scoreboard, it is now 32-26. It's still game on very much, Gavin.
Can we get a quick crowd poll and see whether the Jets will do the short kick-off at this stage of the game? 5 minutes to go, 5.5 minutes to go, 6 points in front. The Tigers coming home with a wet sail. Let's see what happens.
I've got them going for a short kick. I don't think they lose much here other than some territory.
Well, he's placing the angle. It's to the 10-metre.
Yeah, he's going to kick it along the ground here again. This is what they do. They kick along the ground and want it to jump up at the end.
No.
He's filled me. They do the unexpected.
And Billy Walters is back there, so too is Dave Tyrrell. Tyrrell has played strongly when it mattered. Quick play the ball too. Walters at dummy half. Keeps going. Billy Walters has been kept quiet tonight. So has Drinkwater for the most part. The two of them have been shut down by the Ipswich defence. Here's Grenke. He's played well since coming back onto the field. He's carrying an injury, carrying a couple of injuries, but doing well. Austell dummy half on the halfway. Here's Drinkwater, cuts out the man to young Tom Mapay's got McAnally, throws the dummy, and finally It'll take a long time. They're taking him towards the sideline.
Got
His
him.
head hit the ground.
Penalty. The referee must have decided and therefore must have called held.
Well, you can understand why the Jets are frustrated to get that call, because there seemed to me to be constant movement, but the referee has no doubt called held. And so East go right on the attack here, 6 points away from drawing level.
Let's have a look at some quick play the balls and some scoots out of dummy half. That's where they're getting the momentum recently.
See what they can do from here. Great chance for the Tigers to perhaps square this up with a couple of minutes still to go in this match. They're down by 6 points. Pass up this time to Svensson. He's played strongly in the middle. Good strong defence by the Jets though to hold him out. The Jets haven't had the ball for a while, and therefore they'd be feeling a bit fatigued this late in the game. Out to Torpy. He's got a pretty straight attack line in front of him. Therefore he picks up the sweeper and Drinkwater. Drinkwater looks across. Oh, poor pass by Drinkwater. Picked up by the Jets. They're off the hook, and they didn't have to work too hard for it.
Well, they haven't been making those mistakes in the last 10 minutes. That's the sort of error that riddled their first half, the Tigers. And it's let them down here just as the game was there for, well, maybe not the taking, but to really make a fist of it. So here's Ben Shea. He's back on the field. I've got the feeling that Shea has actually had a couple of breaks during the game. Interchanged twice, so he's an impact man. Plays it slowly. And Pandya, the non-stop worker, he always breaks the first tackle. He bounces away from Walter's tackle there. 32-26 in favour of the Jets over the Tigers, with just over 3 minutes to go on the black and white cab scoreboard now. We're at Suzuki Stadium and it's a thriller as they swing it wide. And just another tackle to go. This is the fifth. Now Mosley in centre field. Will they kick deep? And it's Christian calls for it, and he decides to put up the bomb. Knocked over for his trouble. Drinkwater's got it.
Man down. We've got the kicker down, but the referee has already signalled it's okay.
And down the sideline comes McAnally. McAnally, the trainers are with the injured player. It's Christian who put the bomb up.
Well, it wasn't high as I recall.
He was buried by, I think it was Tyrrell.
Might have been a couple of them that were coming strongly at him. I thought the tackle was okay. I held on. Both trainers were in the vicinity. The two guys in the blue shirts were in the vicinity. They threw their hands up as you would expect.
Referee talking to the touch judge. Now, whether the touch judge has belatedly given him a report. Referee Ben Watts might be about to make a big call here. As it is, the Tigers are in possession, but trailing by 6 points. And Julian Christian, I'm pretty sure it is who's down, is not feeling well after putting that bomb up.
Certainly hit heavily.
Yeah, well, they are very concerned about him, rolling him over very slowly.
And looking after his neck at the same time, so perhaps, well, that would suggest some...
It's not Christian. No, it's definitely not Julian Christian, in fact. He's on his feet.
Suggest some jarring of his neck. Let's hope he's okay. He's in good hands because these guys are making sure everything is totally controlled, and he's starting to feel better now, which is great. Good enough to sit up, and I guess if you get a bit of a knock in that area, and sometimes it can jar you, and you can get pins and needles, Gav, so you might get a bit of a scare occasionally, and just make sure everything's okay before you start moving.
Yeah, it's Wes Conlon.
Yeah, and just a bit of conversation between a couple of the boys out there, one of the trainers and a couple of the East players, I think. So
well, I'm fairly certain it was Christian who put the bomb up, so you've got to wonder, how did Conlon get injured?
No, it was Conlon.
If he
was the guy on the ground,
yeah,
no,
okay.
definitely him. Definitely him.
Well, it means the Tigers are in possession. We've got 3.5 minutes up to full time. The actual score, not as you see it, is 32 points to 26.
Conlon is leaving the field. Not surprisingly, concussion test for him. Well, he won't be back.
He won't be back. So the Tigers, this is first tackle, and they will go on the attack. As I recall, it's first tackle up there to Torpy. Not a particularly good pass to him. They got 0 metres off a stoppage in play. You should be set there to steal that first 10. They've been driven back as well, the Tigers. That was the play to go forward and set the pattern for the rest of it. This was the play they should have put on before. Tyrrell gets it up this time, rolls the defence back. They're all scampering back to get in position. They come here on the left-hand side to Torpy. Torpy's got Drinkwater out the back again. Well read there by the number 9 in Connors. Drinkwater's looped around the back a few times, and Connors he only had eyes for him. They come down a blind side. Up this time to Foster. Offside! Ooh. Offside! Inside the 10 metres. First run of the game. Tolomapia tries to run. And he's been told... what happens there? Maybe one of his players was in front of him. Great chance now for the Tigers. They're going to probably get the last throw of the dice. Tap there by Svensson. Quick play the ball essential. Try and go down on your hands and knees. Turns over onto his front. That should get him up. Oh, they're not allowed up quickly. The Jets are going to say, well, we'll concede a penalty. Torpy fires it out there to Walters. Dummies on the inside. Goes himself, Walters. Just grabbed at the last as he tried to get through the line. This is the... He's lost it in the play the ball. And no big complaints there from Walters either, so he wasn't...
Oh, I don't know. I think he had his hands out as if to dispute it, but he's controlled his emotions. Wow, what a let-off.
That's huge. What have we got? We've got less than 2 minutes. We've got 1:54 on the Black and White Cabs scoreboard. We apologise again. Our captions aren't the current score. The score, with only a couple of minutes to go, 32 points to 26 in favour of the Jets. They'll have this possession, and depending on how long it takes, the Jets may have another 6.
Well, last week it was the Tigers who held on for a win when a draw was the likely result against the Capras. I thought for a moment that the Tigers here were going to pull a draw out of the fire, but it looks like now it's the Jets to lose, really. They're leading 32-26.
The question will be, how do they run this set of 6? And they continue with their passing manoeuvres. The crossfield run turning one under is not a particularly dangerous play.
Oh,
they've lost that one straight up. And this is the chance the Tigers have got.
Sethi has lost it. A horrible error for his team's sake here to lose at first tackle inside his own half. All they had to do was play out the set and get a good kick downfield to win the game.
We've got the clock stopped again, so another chance now with 1 minute to play. 6 points in it, the Tigers can draw it, and there's no golden point.
No golden
in
point.
The Intrust Super Cup.
How could Sethi lose that on the first tackle?
I think he sort of, the defender came from behind and was a bit of a bat down, which they call it a loose carry these days.
Walters takes them on himself, at least gets them going forward. You can see the defence having to retreat. Good quick play the ball as they try and slow him up. This time, up the middle goes Grinke. Okay, now's the time to put your play in. You've got 10 metres out. You don't need to get any closer with ruck plays. You're either going to punch one over the try line or another penalty in front. Well, I'll concede a few here. They want to be careful they don't get a guy sent to the sin bin. Pass out the back there to Torpy. Torpy finds the front runner in Foster. Almost an unexpected play. They thought it might have gone out to Drinkwater. Drinkwater fires it up this time to Torpy. Torpy goes himself, the big halfback. He's a big man for a halfback. Can't get across the try line. They're running out of tackles. There'd be a few more to go. It's not over yet. Oswald, the dummy half. Well, they're just going to concede penalties one after another because it won't matter.
11 seconds to go.
This time, well, does Dave Tyrrell know that? This is your play.
Chance on the right. Drinkwater's going that way.
I'll get to play the ball then, surely. Play it, son. This time up
there's
there
a buzzer.
Walters. Play on.
Penalty.
Penalty 2.
So he's going to play this penalty. It's the last play of the game. The buzzer's gone.
Wow. So you bring your ace man in Drinkwater in a looping play. He's just trotted over here on the left-hand side. He'll be the key player. They're going to cross-field kick. This time they want to get McAnally again. Oh, he had it again. He was first to it. He was first to it and couldn't bring it down. He scored one in the
There's
first.
bodies strewn across the ground here, though. 2 of the Ipswich players are down. Ipswich have won the game, but they might finish with 11 men walking from the field.
Yeah, well, there was a big collision there with
McAnally
players.
had it, didn't he? He was so close.
He was first to it. What a great jumper he is. He was first to it, but just couldn't handle. He scored one try in the first half.
Well,
Torpy's
Torpy's put 3 bombs up for McAnally. He's only come up with 1 try, but could have been 3.
He's a real attacking weapon, McAnally. You know, had they been able to improve their kicking game earlier in that first half, and you know, things could have been different. McAnally, the second half finishes as the first half did for the Tigers, in McAnally soaring high to attempt to collect a ball, but unable to bring them down successfully.
So the final score on the Black and White Cabs scoreboard: Ipswich Jets 32, East Tigers 26. players from both teams shaking hands, but you can see a lot of trainers attending to two of the Jets players who collided with McAnally in that desperate last bomb to the corner. And meanwhile, of course, we saw just a few moments ago Wes Conlon leave the field concussed as well after another collision. So it's been carnage for Ipswich in the last couple of minutes, but dramatic circumstances here at Suzuki Stadium.
Absolutely, and Warren, it's unfortunate these guys are injured in a controlled situation in a game of rugby league. Even though there's a lot of collisions and you're seeing everything in front of you, you can normally withstand and not be injured in a lot of those clashes. But when it's up in the air like that, the bodies and players going everywhere, you're going to come to the ground. That's when things can be somewhat chaotic. And let's hope these guys in the last second of the game actually are going to be okay. But at the end of the day, the Ipswich Jets have been successful. They won it by 32 points to 26. You'd have to say they've deserved their win. I'm impressed by their pattern of play. I'm not convinced at this stage that it's any well, definitely not a panacea, but it's not something that is
bringing out the stretcher.
Concerning, yeah, stretcher needed. So let's hope. Again, you can tell
those kids need to be moved away. I hope that they're not relatives. They shouldn't be hanging around there.
And even if they are relatives or not relatives, they should be around anyway. They've got the best of care these days. All these trainers have to be properly qualified, so that the attention they're getting now is very professional. So they'll be looked after as you would expect. But in terms of the game, an impressive performance by the Ipswich Jets. I think the Tigers were stop-start-ish. They were a bit flat. I don't think the defence is as powerful as it should be. If you go back to last week's game when they played the Cutters, I didn't think they'd started with the intensity they needed in that game. Went on to win it. But the Tigers got a bit of work to do. They've got some very good players. They've got some good ability there, and they'll win a lot of matches this year. But they didn't click today. And whether it was because they were up against a very radical and different pattern. But
I mean, I agree. I think the pattern did throw them off. But having said that, I mean, they've been seeing this for 3 or 4 years now. Surely teams have worked out how they're going to play it. I mean, this is no surprise. This is not an ambush. East had to have their tactics set. But for whatever reason, you're dead right, David, they didn't click, particularly in the first half. Didn't click. There wasn't the aggression in defence. I don't think they targeted the small men the way they should have, because I don't think you can knock Kafusi, I don't think you can knock Neil and Lafipo out of action, because they're strong players.
And they'll come at you, those two. You know, they've got a style that has the big men in the middle going forward and then everyone else going sideways in and out after
that. But at 30 points to 10, the Jets were waltzing home in this game, and it was a remarkable comeback, and you've got to give the Tigers full credit. They finally started to play some really good football, scored 3 tries in a matter of minutes, finished the game very strongly, and would have gone right over the top if it went any longer.
Look, just to go back to your previous comment about getting out at the little guys, I mean, Kafusi scored the first try for the Tigers, I remember, with a very powerful run, I might add, but he was out on an edge going at those smaller guys. So I just don't think the Tigers today did enough. They relied too heavily on the sweeping play from Scott Drinkwater. I'm still a firm believer that you've got to earn the right to cause them grief out wide with that sweeping play, and keep them honest by dumping it off to your edge runner 2 or 3 times. We saw Grenke go straight through, perhaps could have scored. Foster had a pretty strong game, but I don't think they got enough football to the edges, to their edge runners, to allow Drinkwater that split, because in the finish the defence was just coming up, letting that lead runner go and going straight to Drinkwater, and he couldn't do anything very much about it. So
yeah, no, you make a good point. And look, I think early on Kafusi played strongly. Brett Grenke played well all day long, but I think in the last 15 minutes we saw Dave Tyrrell really come to the fore, and that's what they needed earlier in the game. That sort of power running, big men really having a crack and worrying smaller men, making them tackle repeatedly.
And then you turn it to the defensive side as well. You've got to get in there and make some punishing tackles. It's like
we've got one player leaving on a stretcher from Ipswich, sadly. And look, I think that's Ben Walker on one arm of Shane Walker on one arm of the stretcher as well as they just go past us in front of us.
Unfortunately, we just can't pick up who that is.
But one of the last Ipswich players to leave may have been one of the injured players as well. At the back here, just trying to pick up who that is. Maybe not. So yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, very disappointing for Ipswich, who've secured the victory here and played some brilliant football at times and have knocked off the East Tigers at Suzuki Stadium. Not an easy feat, but unfortunately it's going to be sour because it looks like they've got some serious injuries to a couple of players.
Yes, it does. Coming back to the Tigers, they weren't punishing in defence for one. They allowed the Jets to play their own game. So I think the Tigers have got to up the ante in our defence. We talk about speed of line, all that sort of stuff. You've got to hit in defence and drive backwards. They didn't do that, and the Jets were able to play their game, which I think is got some merit. But the Tigers weren't at their best today. And they did pretty well to come back and make it a 6 point. Nearly won it, as Warren just said. But they got some work to do to turn around. They're not dominating matches. The game we saw last week against the Cutters was hot and cold. They're not for long periods, Gav, do they seem to be right on top of the opposition.
Let's call it consistency, Dave. I think, that there's just not that consistency there. They have a little bit of trouble with some of their connections between the halves. Oswald, whilst he played a number of games off the bench last year for the Tigers, he's new to that starting role without Tommy Butterfield there. Although Billy Walters was a regular in that side last year for the Tigers, in fact probably played every game. Braden Torpey only played a couple of games. They got Drinkwater at the back, and talk about the spine, so that's all new. They're still learning each other's games, perhaps 3 games into this season, but they need to gel well. They need to gel better. They need to get better sets into their sets. They just need to put more pressure and be more consistent throughout games. As you said, they scored 3 or 4 tries there right towards the end, but there was long lapses, long periods where they looked ineffective, going sideways across field, throwing poor passes and poor last tackle options.
Yep.
Now, we've got a women's game beginning here at Suzuki Stadium, and Mel Tabay is going to tell us a little bit more about this match. We've got the East Tigers in action. Mel, who are we playing?
Yeah, we're versing Toowoomba tonight. So Toowoomba have actually gone up from Division 2 last year. They're now in Division 1 with us. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go.
And how's the Tigers season going so far?
Yeah, not too bad. We've had a loss last week. But hoping we can turn that around today.
So Mel, how many teams are in this competition, and how broadly is this competition played?
Yeah, so there's 6 teams in Division 1. There were 5 last year. And so Toowoomba are actually the 6th team that have come in.
And at Brisbane and region, so you got Toowoomba as a regional-based team. What other teams have we got? Have we got other ones at Brisbane or other regions?
No. Pretty much Toowoomba is the only one that's out of region. I mean, we've got the Burleigh Bears, we've got Toowoomba, we've got Brothers Ipswich, we've got West. Yep.
Sort of Southeast Queensland comp in a lot of ways.
It's a Southeast Queensland comp.
That's great. Yeah.
So it'd be really good to see just how much progress the girls have been.
And how often would these girls be training? What sort of training regimes are they putting in?
So 2 nights a week at the moment. Towards the end of the season, towards finals, you'd see them ramp up a bit.
Who is the coach of the Tigers women's team?
Yep, so we've got Dwayne for the women's coach for our women's team.
We're just watching out there at the action at the moment. Unfortunately, we've just lost picture here at the moment, which is inopportune, seeing Mel Tabay is telling us about the action here. But we've got a number 2 on the wing here for the East Tigers, and she's just been hit in a heavy tackle. But she's also very fast.
She is.
Who's the captain, and who are the stars of the women's team for the Tigers?
Yeah, so we do have 2 Jillaroo stars on our team. We're very lucky. We've got Karina Brown and we've got Ness Fulaki. So they're our 2 co-captains.
Now, is Karina, what number's Karina got? The number
fullback.
8?
She's our fullback.
Okay. So yeah, it's a pretty torrid beginning to the game out there. 40 minutes each way?
35 minutes each way.
35 each way, okay. And how long does the season go? How many games?
Yes, well, because of our season going to be cut short this year because of the National Women's Champion, the National NRL having a women's competition at the end of the year. So that means our competition will finish in August.
Right, okay. So tell me a bit more about the national competition then. That's going to happen at what about the NRL finals time, is it?
Yeah, so the plan is to have the grand final of this competition to be played at the same time as the NRL grand final.
Right, okay.
So I think the Broncos have got a side
Correct.
in there. Was there about 6 or 7 or 8 clubs?
Yeah, there's 6 teams.
Australia, 6 teams.
6 teams
Yep.
that will be nominated.
And with the idea of ultimately, I think, to try and get a team aligned with each of the NRL clubs. So this is a great start. A lot of people were saying for a long time that it would take an extended period of time to get women's league into some sort of NRL structure. So the fact that they've been able to get 6 clubs in this year is terrific.
Yeah.
Great opportunities.
It is wonderful. I know so far the Brisbane Broncos have nominated, and so has the Bulldogs.
Yep.
So who would the Tigers girls, who would they feed to for that competition, do you know?
Well, not sure, actually.
Completely separate?
Yeah.
Completely separate.
You could sign, I think, across boundaries line, so
Yeah.
the opportunities will be pretty high.
Okay. All right, Mel, well, thanks for that. And we'll look forward to checking out the results of the Tigers women's team. And hopefully they have a win, even though the men couldn't today.
I know, it'll be good to have at least something, some kind of win
Couple
today.
of drinks to celebrate.
It is Saturday night. We want to be able to celebrate something.
Do these do these girls play after each of the intra-super cup games, or just it varies, does it?
It does vary.
Yeah.
It just varies on which location is available.
Okay, so keep your eye out. If you want to come to an intra-super cup, there may well be some women's football.
Yeah, that's exactly
that,
right.
So you get a double header effectively on the same night.
Yeah.
All right, good on you, Mel. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Now, just checking the other scores in the Intra-Super Cup round 3 so far. As you know, the Ipswich Jets have defeated the Tigers 32-26 here at Suzuki Stadium. Earlier, the Burleigh Bears were too good for Tweed Heads at 32-12. And at half-time at the moment, being played tonight at Mackay Stadium, we've got the Central Queensland Capras leading the Cutters 12 points to 4. And at half-time as well, at Jack Mansky Oval, the Northern Pride are leading the Blackhawks from Townsville 12 points to 6. So progress scores in the Intrust Super Cup. I think we can just about wrap it up here from Suzuki Stadium. The East Leagues Club is beckoning us, Gavin and David. I think we might have to call in there on the way to the car, you know, but just for a lemonade. And we hope you've enjoyed this match tonight. Sorry for our technical difficulties. We weren't able to bring you everything we would have liked to on Tiger TV today, but I hope, well, I'm sure you enjoyed that clash because it was a spirited encounter and a fascinating encounter because you saw things you don't see every day of the rugby league year. 32-26 in favour of the Jets over the Tigers. And just quickly, I should say, next week, the Tigers meet the Sunshine Coast. That's Saturday, 10 past 1. That'll be the Channel 9 game next Saturday in the Intrust Super Cup. So the Tigers against the Sunshine Coast. The Melbourne affiliates go head-to-head. And in the case of Ipswich, they travel to Brown Park to meet the Capras. That's a Thursday game as we go into Easter. So look out for that one. But for now, David Wright, Gavin Payne and Warren Bolden saying bye from Suzuki Stadium.
Well done. Thanks, mate. Is that it for us? One's that one.